Three, two, yeah. All right. So there we go. I hit that button way too early, but we're going to leave it in. This is our inaugural YouTube episode. You get to see all of our faces as we chill in our offices slash dens of solitude. And we have our rabbi joining us this week. We're going to ask him a ton of questions, and if we get a ton in the YouTube comments down below, we're gonna bring you back. Because I had so many questions, and you and I were talking about this because I was sharing some stuff on my stories, and you were like, dude, like I don't know if you took offense to it. I don't think you did, but
I did not take offense to it. Whatever.
I was gonna say you never take any offense to anything, and we were talking about it, and I was like, dude, I think we really need to clarify this stuff on here. So, episode 135. First of all, Brownells does kind of sponsor the podcast, so huge thank you to them. Go head on over there, use code BOP10. That'll save you 10% off any of your orders over 150. I will have links not in the YouTube, but if you're listening to this on Spotify or any of the other podcast platforms, there will be links down below. If not, I will have all of those links up in our Reddit page. So you'll see a link to our Reddit page. You can go over there. You can see all the links that I have over there. I will have deals, new things that hit the site over at Brownells and all that other stuff. So go check that out. BOP10 will save. And I think code BB15 is still going on. Millar, do you know if that's true? Or am I lying out of my face?
Pretty sure that ended Sunday, if I remember.
And never mind. Don't use that code. I'm a liar, and I'm sorry to do that to you all. So before we hop into asking Rabbi a bunch of questions, I just kind of wanted to do a roundtable on what we did in guns this week. So who wants to go first?
Me. I'll do it.
All right. Let's see what you got. What'd you do this week in guns?
Well, went to the range and got a little slide bite on Sunday, and then realized that the KAK BCG means absolutely dog shit in my rifle, but that's okay too.
Which gun
that
were
you and
using
me at the
to
range?
fly by?
Oh, sorry, two different people. Say that again. Sorry.
Which gun did you get? Were you using that got slide by from?
Oh, Hoodlum could answer that better than I can answer that.
I gave him. So he gave me something. What did you give me? And I gave you. Oh yeah, we traded. I gave him a Glock, and he gave me the Sandman. So suppressor for Glock because he didn't want his suppressor any longer. So I gave him. Yeah. So anyway, gave him a Glock. It's the SET-17 frame, which I told you has slide bite, and I hate. That's exactly why I did not like that frame. The 19 and the 17. If you have large hands, just no bueno. I will go ahead and I will state that. I don't think that is like the greatest frame. I think it's a really good frame. If you have smaller hands than me and you want a 19 or a 17 frame that is really good, that has that nice 1911 grip angle that everybody talks about. Personally, I still love Glocks. I'm a huge Glock fanboy. Yes, I have a Zev, but Glocks are my life. I can't recommend that frame. I like it, and it's dirt cheap. I think you can pick up the frame for like $50, but it's not my cup of tea.
So outside of that, that was it for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, I had a feeling with the case back that was a pretty rough experience shooting it through your rifle. But you have that shitty Radian Raptor charging handle that the internet is going to crucify me for saying. But I still think that charging handle should never be used on anything that is suppressed. That is an unsuppressed charging handle only. I don't hate it. I don't hate it for its ergonomics, but it is no step up from like a standard like traditional charging handle, except for the fact that it's ambi. But yeah, other than that, I think if we got you like a BCM Mark II or one of those like that one that I have from that other company that I can't remember right now, that would be a lot. The Raidworks AR-15 charging handle. They make a really good one that I run on my dissipator because it's kind of gassy, and that one's pretty good. That one eliminates all the gas to your face hole through that little back part.
Well, I'll have to pick one up.
Yeah.
In Chris's defense, I have the Mark II on mine, and I use that case back, and I still hated it.
Yeah, I will say I did not. On my 16-inch carbine gun that I had, I didn't like it. Like I got a load of gas to my face, even shooting unsuppressed. I mean, we probably put 60 rounds through the gun, and I was like, fuck this, I don't want to shoot it anymore. Like I love shooting guns, and I was like, dude, this is stupid. Like, this is absolutely dumb with how. And I put an H3 buffer in it with a red spring, and like it was awful. Like I the amount of gas I was getting to my face with that, even with that. And I can't fault the BCG because I am running a carbine length 16-inch barrel, so it's going to be horrendously overgassed. But that was a brutal experience in my eyes. I will say, on my 20-inch, I had absolutely no gas to my face with that gun. that was a fantastic bolt carrier group in the 20-inch. I think I want to run the 20-inch suppressed with it just a little bit to see if I get any gas to the face. But I think that was a fantastic choice for the 20-inch. I think that's a good one. All right, Adam, what'd you do this week in guns?
Well, so as of right now, down vent or side vent?
I would still go down vent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Weirdos. This week I didn't do any shooting. So this week is just an order thing. I ordered that ultrasonic cleaner. Pretty stoked about that. What else did I get?
I have no idea, but that ultrasonic cleaner has cleaned so many things, and I've gotten it so dirty, and I've already had to clean out like the inside, and then I had to go in, and there's a little metal drain plug that goes on the bottom, and I had to take that out and clean that out in the ultrasonic cleaner.
I'm excited to throw the Sandman in there just to see, because I'm curious.
Dude, and it gets hot as fuck. Like, you can turn that thing all the way up to like 170 degrees to like cook stuff off. Like, it is crazy. I will have a link to the sonic cleaner down below. You can get the 6-quart or the 6-liter and the 3-liter. I highly recommend the 6-liter. I will tell you right now, the only thing you can really put in the 3-liter is like 2 bolt carrier groups, like disassembled. You could only fit about 2 in there. A Glock slide you can fit in there, maybe 2 Glock slides, but nothing really bigger than that. Like, I don't think you could put up a receiver, not like a full one, but if you took apart an upper receiver, I don't think you could slap that in there easily.
Well, that's no bueno.
Which brand was the cleaner you got?
It's a Lyman. Which one was it, Adam? It's the Lyman.
It is.
I'll have to look.
I think on top of
the Power Pro Turbosonic Ultrasonic Cleaner.
Yeah, it's only $200 too. So for the one
on top of that, though, it's besides for the temperature controls that cook things off, it's usually also a solvent-based thing that you add to it as well. No, that will also help like break down carbon and things like that.
Yeah, I went to because Brownells apparently will sell you a sonic cleaner and none of the cleaning supplies. So I went to
oh, they will. It's just expensive.
Well, yeah, you have to buy a 4-gallon jug or a 1-gallon jug or whatever, and it's like $90. And I was like, I don't need that much. So I went over to Midway USA and I grabbed a Lyman gun cleaner solution one. And
this episode is brought to you by Brownells. Use BOP10 in the description down below.
Hey man, I will tell anybody anywhere, and I will say this: if I can find a better deal than Brownells, I will give it to you. I have no problem with that. Brownells is amazing, and they are a great company. And the one thing that kind of keeps me going back is their forever satisfaction guarantee. Because if you're not, I mean, honestly, if you buy a product at Brownells and you're not happy, yes, I know this sounds like a commercial, but I've used this. Like, if you buy a product and you're not happy, you can send it back. It doesn't matter unless it's a suppressor, or sorry, NFA item. If it's a firearm or ammunition, those are the only 3 exclusions. Everything else, if you buy it, they will take it back.
I sent them back a bunch of brass and told them it was faulty, and yeah, they said I shot it, whatever that means.
Unlimited ammo glitch activated. All these were shooting low left. I think it's faulty.
I swear it's not me. But no, I got that. I got the Lyman cleaning solution. And then, did you know they have 25-pack containers of nylon brushes?
I did when you sent me the screenshot of your order, and I was like, bro, that just got added to my order because I keep losing fucking nylon brushes left and right.
Oh no!
It comes in like a big pretzel container.
You know what's funny is they probably just repurposed those old peanut butter pretzel containers and just ripped off the label and slapped on the Brownells one.
Yeah, that's definitely a guy in the office that just eats those all day. Throw a whole bunch of nylon brushes in
No,
it.
no, it's for when people walk in, they just leave the bucket in the reception area and then people clean them out that way.
This is true.
I don't
That's
know.
too funny.
It's a good one. Millar, what'd you do in guns this week?
This week, I've been scouring the site for optics. I've been in need of optics for I don't know how long now, but I've had a AR9 upper that's been sitting for too long, over a year, that needs an optic. And everything that I have had my eyes on Brownells is out of stock. So outside of that, my suppressor landed at my FFL. So be doing a Form 4 this Saturday. I'm pretty stoked to check out the anechoic suppressor. It's their 223, not the L version, just the standard 223. And then I want to get the rugged rum for that. And the rum, they do a steel and they do a titanium. The titanium, of course, is out of stock, and that is the one I want. But I was told in about 2-3 weeks they'll be back in. So I'm hoping by the time the can is approved, I can then order the mount that I want. Since I regularly use rugged cans, I want to be able to use my muzzle devices that I have. And that's why I'm going after that rum. And then the can itself is the anechoic can is titanium. So I wanted to go ahead and stick with titanium to keep the weight down. But yeah, pretty stoked to check that thing out. It is olive drab green, since I'm a whore for green.
Wait, the suppressor is olive drab green?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
missed it. I was looking at a UPS update that I got. But what can did you get?
The anechoic 223
I don't know who makes this.
anechoic.
It's in 223. I don't know if you know. It's also an OD green.
Yeah.
I don't know
So-
who made. I'm going to tell you right now. I don't even know the suppressor company. They sound like a
so
fly by night company.
they formerly were Alpha suppressors, and then they rebranded into anechoic.
Yeah, nobody knows who Alpha
Again,
suppressor
yeah,
is.
again, who's Alpha? Sorry, Milan.
Chris can't breathe. He's dying.
Yeah. Well,
No,
I mean,
I actually have a pretty cool. I have an AR9 as well. My
Mhm.
current optic setup, which is it's fun. I mean, if you're looking for fun, it's fun. I have a 509T mounted on top of a Reptilia 193 riser, so it's a very lightweight package while still having the height that I feel is preferred. And I just again, depending if you're using it for fun or whatever, I'll just use the circle only reticle, and it just shoots really fun.
I've
That sounds
actually
legit.
I've actually been thinking of I've got a bunch of Vortex Spark ARs, and that's what I have on my current AR9 setup. So what I was thinking of doing was upgrading an optic on one of my 5.56 uppers and then transitioning over the Spark AR into the other one. So then I have Spark ARs across both of my AR9 setups.
Did
At
you have
least
to?
that's my tentative plan.
Did you have to buy the ugliest Vortex optic ever made? Like, I hate that optic. I hate the Spark AR.
Dude,
Why?
I offered up the HS 510C for like $100, and Millar's like, no, and I'm like, all right, cool.
Well, that's the second ugliest optic ever made, but you know.
So it'd be an improvement.
I look, I like Vortex products. I have the Vortex 3 to 15 first focal plane scope. Like that is, dude, like for a $500 scope, I was actually blown away with like glass clarity, edge to edge clarity, distortion, all that stuff. Like, yeah, that is the ugliest thing known to man. Look at that, dude. It's a piece of junk. It look, the glass fell out.
To be fair, this was hit by a bomb. So, if you could see the side of that, this took a fair beating to get to where it is right now. I don't know if you see the warping. Oh, there you go.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
I
Distortion.
strapped it to a bomb. I'm like, I wonder what's going to happen. Turns out
you lost
not
the
that
other
much.
one.
I lost the other one. I'm so upset. I lost it.
Did you just send it into orbit or what's
Dude,
up?
it's freaking gone. It went back to China to get rebuilt by the company that manufactured it. That's how far that thing blew. It was very cool to watch. Very disheartening not to see the reproduction process of the entire optic.
Oh,
That's
man.
crazy.
No, so yeah, that's nuts. Anything else, Millar? What else you got going?
Working on my helmet build out. Ordered the helmet cover, so gonna have the
Our head
Protection Group
veterans?
Denmark.
Which helmet?
Protection Group Denmark.
Oh, is that a part of Alpha Suppressors before they
No, that's separate.
Oh man, Rabbi out here being witty.
Yeah, well, the
I'm
He's
sorry.
going for those low punches.
well, yeah,
I know it's about to get really bad for me. I need to prep myself for a stable rest of this conversation. This is gonna.
Sorry, keep going, Millar.
Yeah, so I'm working on that's the other project that I got going on. Outside of that, can't really think. I think that's mainly it. I mean, I've been watching Brownells for a bunch of the stuff I had my eyes on, and it's just not in. So kind of holding tight, hoping that stuff comes in. Get this helmet dialed in, get this other AR9 running, and then get this can running. And the guys that are actually running the Brownells page now actually used to also handle the marketing for Alpha Suppressors.
Oh, there you go. Did you talk to them about it, or?
No, I haven't talked to them about it. But
okay.
I'm very curious, by the way, Millar, about the ear protection structure, setup, and choices you go with. I was speaking to Hoodlum about it when I was setting up my helmet, and pretty much I'm not very happy with the way my ear pro attaches to my helmet, and like the pressure it creates against my ear. I feel like it's not going to be ideal, but I'd be curious to see what you end up running with that.
Rabbi,
what are you running right now?
Well, hold on, Millar. Rabbi, I think Millar is the wrong person you need to be talking to, and I'm not meaning to make this sound as Jewish, anti-Jewish as this is going to sound. But he's running noise fighters that are like $750.
Yeah, I'm running the auto noise barrier attacks with the
spent like $300 on mounts for them and all this other shit.
The
Why not just get Comtacs at that point?
Mounts are, what was it, like $80, and then the Ear Pro I think is like $639 or something like that at Brownells.
I'm a big supporter of the idea of buy once, cry once, which means if it's actually quality and you're not just blowing money, then fine. But like right now, I have like the MSA Swordens with a associated mount that was just I don't know which brand it was, but it mounts to it as well. But I was less impressed than I thought I would be with the Swordens. Like honestly, I in most classes right now, I'm still running my Howard lights with upgraded gel cup ear cups, and they work fine for me. I'd be very curious to try ops cores and things like that, but like I really don't want to have to test a $1,300 pair of Ear Pro just to find out I don't like it as much, or if it's okay enough to compare to the Howard lights that work fine for me now. So
I've been running the autos like 2 years now, and I personally love them. I mean the Ear Pro mounts, I can't remember who makes them. Are you running arc rail, or what rail are you running?
Arc rail.
Yeah, so I have
a Team Wendy. It's one of their newer I forgot which which model within it, but it's a Team Wendy ballistic.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think they were running arc, but either way, they make all the different attachments. I actually got that off of Optics Planet.
Willem's got the old I make soup in my hat and also cook other things as well from Vietnam.
The Mitch too, man. Dude, this helmet has been everywhere with me. I what did I do? When I left the Army, I had to fill out a statement of charges because I technically took this helmet. Well, I lost it and then I had to buy it. So that was my thing. But fun fact, if you are really cool with your supply NCO, they'll let you buy a used helmet, which is only like $400 instead of like a new helmet. Like if I were to have a new Mitch 2 helmet, I think they wanted like $1,290, and I was really cool with my supply NCO. So yeah, she did that for me, and that was pretty cool.
No way they gave you that soup helmet for only $400.
Yeah, bro, $400.
Wow.
$400, dude. You can't even find a Mitch 2 this cheap anymore.
Respectfully, I don't want
it. Bro, this helmet is like 9 pounds. I swear to God, like, it is so heavy. And people like everyone, like Adam and Millar will be like, "Oh my God, my helmet's amazing!" Blah blah blah. I will die on the hill of like I don't really care. Like I never wear this helmet. Like my plate carrier is just sitting over there. It hasn't moved in like 3 years. Like I don't know the last time I like it's got dust on it, like legit dust. I have no fucking use. I go to
But
the
it
range
looks
to
cool.
LARP. Like, not my plate carrier. My plate carrier is an ACU pattern because that was when I was in the army and it looks hideous. So,
Oh, it's not that bad. Relax.
it looks hideous. I hated ACU pattern when I was in. Although when I joined in like '08, I thought it was the coolest thing ever because I didn't have to wear those stupid M81 camo. But so yeah, Millar, are you done with your this weekend guns? I know we interrupted you like 400 times. My bad.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. I mean, final note there was really the autos are awesome. They are 639 over at Brownells. They have OD green, black, and flat dark earth. I've been running them 2 years. Very nice gel covers. Um, they fit. I mean, I love those things. I can't speak highly enough of them. I did a YouTube where I've had tons of people comment on those as well as what the hell's that company? Disco 32. I have the Disco 32 connector, and that video's gotten a lot of attention. But yeah, highly recommend those. I know 2 or 3 other people at least that are running them.
Yeah, if you're lucky enough to afford a $600 set at Ear Pro that you can attach to your helmet, I completely like. I'm not shitting on you, Millar. I know that that is expensive, but I also know like what Sordens go for 400, right?
Sordens are I got mine for probably around 350-ish.
Okay. Yeah, I mean they're expensive and I highly
Yeah.
recommend like good quality Ear Pro. I saw the autos and was like, yeah, fuck that. Like I'm not paying for that. But I know that there are people out there like Millar and other people who have no problem. I mean, Millar also has night vision and all the other shit that goes along with it, along with Adam. So
Yeah, it must be nice to have an income. Wow, good for you.
hey man, I feel like I make pretty good money and I don't have the income for night vision. I worked a boatload of overtime, and even then, I'm like, I am still like $3,000 shy of a good white Foss tube. So, so what did you do this week in guns, Rabbi?
So this week, this week was part 3 of pretty much my first time joining a shooting competition. I never participated in competition before. So I walked into my range and like all the guys know me there because I'm there way too often. And they're like, "Oh, bro, you have to like join a competition. It's about to start. Just jump in." I'm like, I have no information, and it was like about to start in like 5 minutes. And they're like, "Just do it, just do it, just do it." They said there's first, second, and third place prize, and only 4 people registered. And as long as you beat at least one person, you win something. So I'm like, that sounds pretty cool. So I looked around. One guy had a revolver. I said, "You're gonna go. I'm screwing you over." So I'm like, cool. As long as I beat that guy, I'm good. So as of right now, it was 4 weeks of 1 time a week of different types of competition. Pretty much, each one was a different police department or agency's shooting qualification. So there were like 2 police departments. This past week was the FBI shooting qualification, and then next week is going to be something else. I'm not sure what. It brought a few things to my attention. First of all, the qualifications for the people that we feel we should respect are absolute trash. Secondly, I learned a lot of things from my draw and presentation of the optic, which was cool, which is I think the value for competition-based stuff. It'll help you learn a little bit about yourself when you're on a timer and like things like that. So I learned for myself how I need to pick up my red dot a little bit faster and how my grip is ever so slightly inconsistent, where I'll need to work on that more in dry fire. And for me, at least that's where the value came in, which was really cool. So yeah, as of right now, holding second place. We'll see what happens next week. And I also did it proudly because I didn't come prepared for a competition. I did the entire thing. I decided to stick with it with my concealed carry gun, while other guys were running race guns. So I was like, at least for that, I feel a little bit cool. At least that.
Turns out the guy with the revolver was Jerry Mitchell Jr.
Dude, that
sucks. He's the guy.
You got nothing, old man. Just go full auto on a Smith and Wesson.
J frame? How did you do that? You only have 5 shots, dude.
I reloaded 3 times in that segment.
Oh man. Well, I think everyone's going to be blown away. It's been well over a year for my suppressor. And and so I decided that I was going to pull the trigger again on another e-forms, and I was gifted for my recent birthday the ability to Form 1 my GHM9. So I have a B&T GHM9. Since this is on YouTube, I'm not going to show it because they'll probably get really upset about that. We'll have to navigate that. We're not live streaming, so I think that that's okay, but I don't know. YouTube is really dumb with their stuff, and they'll probably be mad at us. So when it comes to the GHM9, I was like, man, I really want a short 9mm SBR that I can have a vertical front grip on, that I want like as my bedside gun. And when I eventually pull the trigger on the Dead Air Mojave 9, that's the suppressor that I want to attach on there via the Trilug mount. And that's just kind of my dream PCC setup, because I'm under the personal assumption that all AR9s are shit and I hate them. So that's just my personal feeling. If you have an AR9 and you feel that you can outrun me, by all means, let's get in a gunfight. I won't even put the stock on my gun. So I don't condone violence in any way, but I will defend myself. So I really wanted that. That's what I was going to do. So I put in the paperwork. It's been how many days has it been, Millar? It's been what, 5 days?
Well, your other can is at day 370.
I don't care about that one. What is the Form 1 at? Because I did it and you were
five,
like,
5 days. 5 days, 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 11 seconds.
So 5 days ago, I put it in. So hopefully within the next 30 days, we'll hear something about my Form 1. And maybe we'll figure out why my fucking Form 4 will never clear. I don't know what's going on there. I've emailed everybody that everyone said, you need to email these people. You need to email this. You need to email that. You need to email this. I've emailed them 3 times. I even emailed the FBI NICS again, and I said, "Is there something in my background holding this up? Because this doesn't make any sense to me." And they just
that you purchased.
They literally responded back with one word, "No," and that was it. That was the no. Like, and I was like, okay, then I don't know what's going on. Like I keep getting the form email that when you do the NICS. FBI, whatever, for the ATF. When you do that, they just send back a Form 1. We'll come back with a determination when it's processed. And I'm like, this is stupid. Like, I don't understand what's going on with that. So my trust that I put in well over a year ago now is just taking forever and a day, and everybody else on Reddit is annoying me with their, oh, I got mine back in 4 days, I got mine back in 7 days. Adam with his, I got mine back in 4 days. Like, so all of you can piss up a rope. I don't enjoy this.
And mine was like 24 hours or some shit like that.
Yeah, we left Civil War, and this motherfucker was like, "Oh shit, my e-form got approved. I wonder if I can go this weekend to go and pick it up over there at Capitol Armory."
1776 was the last time New Jersey ever had this freedom, so I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Well, it's funny because you and I are from California.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not.
So small upgrade for me. Very small upgrade. Still an upgrade, So like, at least now because at least when I go to work, I'm not stepping on homeless people and poop. So at least there's that much going for me.
Not yet.
Yeah.
It'll get there. Just give it time.
The rabbi,
if you believe.
Rabbi, you just need to come on down to Texas, man. We've got amazing freedoms down here.
Oh man, bro. To be fair, though, Hoodlum did put me off with the fact that when I tried on multiple occasions to try to set up classes there, he's like, "Are you sure you want to come in the summer when it's 200% humidity and 600 degrees?" I'm like, I don't know if I want to be baked like a really bad cake.
I was just gonna say, when Chris said you should just come down to Texas, I was gonna say, yeah, you can go down there. You could bitch about the weather all day, every day, no matter what the weather's like. You can just complain about it. It's gonna be great.
Oh, dude. Well, it's funny because Adam gets mad because he feels like we're always bitching about the weather. I work outside. I work outside in the heat all day. I have no problem with the heat. Yes, it's hot. I'm not bitching about the heat. I'm just merely stating a fact. What I hate is when it rains and the range closes down. That's the thing that I bitch about, because apparently the range that we go to, Brazos River, love them. Like, thank you, Lee John, for everything you do. But I still don't understand. You're gonna make ruts in the mud, like, bro. I'm not out here doing fucking donuts. Like, I'm just trying to get to the goddamn range. Okay, like that's the thing that annoys me is the moment it fucking flash rains for about 4 seconds. He's like, no, you can't go to the range for a week, and I'm like,
as you can tell by my complexion, my ancestry is to dry heat. We don't do the humid heat. Okay, we like staying at straight desert. I'll burn at a solid 110 with 0% humidity. That's
Okay.
where.
Okay. So I have your answer. West Texas.
I have your answer. I'm from Arizona. I am from Arizona. I grew up in Arizona. It is a solid 120 through the summer in Arizona. Fucking 4% humidity. You're good to go there, dude. Like, you'll be A-okay.
I feel like Arizona is like the Australia of America. Like, there's like the most venomous, messed up creatures that like roam the state that you have to be constantly worried about. Besides for the
dude, I lived in Arizona for a very long time, and I can count on one hand how many times I saw a rattlesnake.
There, you stayed indoors a lot with your sonic cleaner.
Yeah. Also, Adam and I are under the assumption that Australia is not a real place.
Ah, I see.
No, not Australia.
It's the end of the earth. We fall off at that point.
Yeah, and the earth's flat.
It's Russia.
All right, so yeah, that was pretty much my This Week in Guns. I bought a lot of other shit, but that's going to come to the YouTube channel later. You guys will see that. Not a problem. But I did want to let everybody know that if you guys want some smoking deals, I'm really hoping that we'll be able to get more deals with Primary Arms. I'm sorry, not Primary Arms. Palmetto State Armory. I said Primary Arms. There should be some cool stuff. No, go away, alarm. There should be some cool stuff that we'll be able to not exclusively get, but we'll be able to offer you that we'll know of ahead of time before the podcast. I've been talking with their marketing people, so I'm hoping that we'll be able to do that. But before we go into our episode, really this whole episode and why I decided to make this one the inaugural one on YouTube is that I have been posting some fire memes and stuff on Instagram. And I was talking with Rabbi after he messaged me after I posted one. And we watched this lady, Jewish influencer, who was out here talking about how they deal with not turning on the light on the Sabbath. I'm not gonna lie, dude. When it comes to the Jewish religion, I am culturally illiterate when it comes to anything about that. And I you know me, I literally ask you a million questions. We will get to the comments after we talk to Rabbi. So
I blocked out like a half hour. We started late, my guy. To go through.
So I was watching all this stuff. I'm incredibly confused about this whole thing, because I'm not gonna lie, when we went over this especially in our chat, and I asked you guys questions. Please, if you guys have any more questions that Rabbi can't answer, post them down below, and I will literally write them out and send them to him so we can have him back on again, so we can do this all over again. But I did want to let everybody know that I had so many questions, and I really just wanted them to be on like a public platform. Because I know there's probably a million other people like me who are like, I don't know anything about the Jewish religion at all, and or why these things happen. So go ahead and introduce yourself. Let us know why you're qualified to answer these questions. Not that, we've literally called you Rabbi this entire time. So,
So my name is Raziel Cohen. I'm professionally known as the Tactical Rabbi. I'm a gun dude and a Jewish dude, space laser expert, which we'll get to a bit later, apparently. And I'm not qualified, although I do have rabbinical ordination. I believe the perspective on this is that I will try my best to answer questions. A lot of things get really complex when it comes to the nitty and gritty religious legalities to the things that we do. And then I'm also a believer in the fact that if I don't necessarily know the complete answer, I'd rather say I don't know than try to make something up. So I'm trying to give as much real valuable insight to the questions that might be asked.
Well, I think it should be fair, because there were questions that we did go over before this, and you were like, I don't know the complete answer, or I've had to talk to other rabbis, or however that works.
Which I'll explain also, because I'll preface by saying, so some of the questions that came up were great questions, where there are different sects of Judaism, and different people might hold to different levels of stringency based on the religion. And I'm considered to be on like the, so to speak, the top, let's say the top 2, top 3 highest level in stringency based stuff, maybe. So there are still people who are like way more extreme in the things that they do. There's people also who are far less. They're much more lenient on the things that they do. So some of those I had to look into to find out like maybe why they do certain things to try to get a better understanding as to that.
So, but before we kick this off, can I ask, like, you were talking about earlier, like, you didn't know about like Orthodox Jewish people, not you didn't know that specific sect. Like, can you explain if this is going to be like way too long?
So I know the specific sect. The question is about that individual. So let's go into the question. The question was about there are some ultra Orthodox Jews who refuse to be a part of a draft. So it wasn't really about the sect. It was about the reasoning for why they wouldn't want to be a part of a draft at all. So a lot of Jews join the military, especially in Israel, where it's a forced draft. But there are like specific sects of that of Judaism that they're adamantly against it, and they're never going to do it. Like they'd rather be in prison or dead before joining the military. So I looked into it because again, I'm not a part of that sect, so I don't know if there's more to it than what I'm saying now. But the general consensus of what I got from the people that I asked, which were reliable sources, was that the two primary reasons is that there are two types of primary categories of Jews, so to speak. There's one type that their primary focus is the spiritual purification of the world, meaning trying to make the world as great of a place as possible. So their perspective on that is by learning all day, every day. And like, that's your connection to God, so to speak, is by learning whatever's being taught. The other aspect is that you learn, but then also you try to make a positive change in the world. So you actually take action on what you learned, not just learn and then it goes to nothing, so to speak. So for them, the two considerations is that if I can't learn as many hours of the day as possible, that means I'm taking away from what I feel my purpose in the world is, which means I'm not going to do it. Because if I believe truly that the only thing I should be doing is learning the entire day, then you telling me I can't do it because I have to go to draft or combat training means that I'm now being taken away from what I feel my purpose is. So they're saying, no way, I'm not going to get involved in that. The second reason I heard was that with joining the military, there's a lot of religious questions about, again, the Israeli military is pretty much a Jewish military, which means will have more leniency than other militaries like the American military or anything like that. But generally speaking, there are going to be places where you're going to be, so to speak, force lacking in certain areas of Judaism because of the structure of even training. So for example, it's not uncommon that a random military, any military at 4 a.m. is randomly going to wake you up and suddenly start drills from 4 a.m. till 12 p.m. And then you have more stuff throughout the rest of the day. So it cuts out pretty much your whole morning. So what's the issue there? The issue is that if you can't, let's say, take 25 minutes to do the morning prayers, you missed it. But it's for the purpose of training to make you a better soldier, but then you're taking away from the religious aspect. So their concern is that by going to the military, you start dropping off on your religious obligations, which then again makes it that you're straying away from God, and that's their worry. So even if it's for the end result of it being positively to protect people around you, it's with the understanding you're going to at some point probably lose out on something. Now, again, it's not really a guarantee that that's going to happen, especially because it's a, so to speak, Jewish military. So I'm sure there is some ways to potentially go around that to make sure you're still fully observant while doing that. But for them, they're like, if there's any potential chance, like, I'm out. So those are the two core reasons I've heard.
Okay. So before we deep dive, like, you're a rabbi. Is there a specific part of the Jewish religion that you're a rabbi of? Is it like, I don't know how any of that works. Like, I know you talked like there's like really Orthodox. Are those the dudes that have like the hats and the stuff? Like, I have no idea how all that works. So I'm just
so yeah. So it's a good question. So first of all, there are different, like, so to speak, specialties you're able to get a rabbinical ordination for. I guess the analogy would be to a doctor. Like, what kind of doctor are you? You're not just a doctor of everything. You're a doctor of a specific thing that you studied, so to speak.
correct.
So there are rabbis who like hyper focus on certain areas. Generally speaking, rabbi means you covered a like core set of like 4 primary categories of like religious law, but then on top of that, you could, so to speak, specialize beyond that. So for example, I think one of the other questions we're probably going to speak about also is like circumcision. It could be like a specialty. It's also a medical degree as well. It's not like just a Jewish thing. You have to go through a certain degree medical school because you're doing an actual procedure. Then there's going to be like the laws of kosher, which is like very, very, very intense, and there's like a lot of like aspects to it. And then like the idea is that there could be other avenues as well within it that you're able to like focus on, so to speak.
Oh, okay. Well, then I say let's dig into the rest of the questions. We got the Orthodox Jewish people uh, military type thing, right? Like not wanting to join. I'm gonna ask, and I'm gonna be 100% wrong on the pronunciation, but what a bris is? This is a question that somebody gave me. What is that?
So bris is the Hebrew word for what's not directly translated, but what it means is circumcision. Now, the actual translation, I think, means it's like an, so to speak, like an alliance. And what that is the Jewish people believe that you're supposed to have a circumcision, and that's a relation that you have to. It's like a commitment that you have to God. So God said to like Abraham that you and your children beyond are all going to be circumcised as a way of connecting to me directly. So bris is the Hebrew word for that, for circumcision.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm referring to my notes here on my lovely iPhone. So um I've seen it. So this has been the other question, and this is the one that I had because this is what I really wanted to ask you. But I've seen a lot of the content that I shared online, and I was talking with you about walkarounds for the Sabbath. Can you explain what people don't understand about these and like why they're important to Judaism? And when I'm going to preface this, when I talk about like the walkarounds or like the people are cheating or whatever,
Loopholes.
it's like on the Sabbath you guys can't like turn on lights or do anything of that sort. Why? Can you explain that in like a hopefully brief, but I know that probably won't be, some sort of like why they're not allowed to do that, and then what happens? Like why are the walkarounds a thing? I'm not saying that they're walkarounds, but
I'm not offended. I'm not offended.
No, but it's all the other people on the internet who are going to be mad.
I'm not. Hoodlum gets the pass. It's cool. So, generally speaking, when you hear about these things, it's primarily heard of during the laws of the Sabbath. So the Sabbath is like the most complex set of laws in Judaism because it's also considered to be a very holy day. So the Sabbath is the seventh day of the week. It's the day that God rested, and it's supposed to be a resting day for all of us. So the thing that comes up is there becomes, not because it's not an issue, but the considerations that come up is that over time, as the generations change, technology evolved as well. And then a bunch of rabbis had to pretty much get together and say, where are we drawing the line for what the Bible wrote to what we're going to be doing today to make sure we're still sanctifying the Sabbath? So as an example would be a cell phone that didn't exist 600 years ago. So the questions are like, okay, so are we doing cell phones? Is that a thing? Like, what's the plan? Like, is this a new technology that didn't exist? So ultimately, anything that seems to be not for the sanctity of the Sabbath, we try to avoid as much as possible. So now, when it comes to loopholes, 100 years ago, they were using candles as their primary source of light in a home. So we were allowed to use candles on the Sabbath back then, but you're not allowed to ignite a candle on the Sabbath because it's either on or it's off, and you're not supposed to mess with it. You're not supposed to create flame. So the question that comes up is, where are these laws stemming from? So there pretty much were a core set of laws that were created during the temple times of things that they did in the temple. And from those things, they said, if these were things that were done as considered work items in the temple, you can't do them as regular week items. Because again, if they're considered work of obligations that we're supposed to have there, those are the things that we're going to classify as things you shouldn't do during the Sabbath, because that's going to be classified as a work item. So again, we're trying to avoid work and anything that wouldn't be for the sanctity of God specifically. So one of them was going to be like striking a match, because there were like sacrifices that were given in the temple, things like that. So that's a part of the process, which would be creating flame or any kind of variation. So now when electricity came around, the initial electricity style we had, or let's say light bulbs, they did have a flame to some degree. Versus now, again, if we're talking about like LEDs, again, technology has been evolving and changing. But the idea is we try to avoid, again, anything that would be considered not appropriate, so to speak. Now, where the loopholes come in, where it becomes complicated, is that, again, like what I mentioned, we are allowed to use lights, but we're not supposed to ignite it. We're not allowed to, so to speak, start it. So what a lot of people do is that they'll have a light bulb on and they'll just have it covered when they want it to be dark, and they uncover it when they want it to be light. So it's not that we're activating or deactivating a light, which is whether we're wanting to be used at the moment or if we don't want to use it. So again, it's not like we can't use it. It's about if we have to set it up for use, so to speak. And then a level beyond that is for things that people say would be a loophole, is that there are a lot of things that are from the Bible as law, so to speak, and then what the rabbis establish as like a fence around the law. So what I mean by fence is that they're saying, let's say you can't write on the Sabbath, like they don't want you to write a letter. What they created as like a barrier beyond that is that they said you shouldn't touch a pen. So technically speaking, you could touch a pen, but they don't want you to touch a pen because it could lead to you potentially writing. So they created like an extra layer of like, don't do this, so you don't get to doing something that would be religiously considered to be worse, so to speak. So those are considered almost like fences around law to make it more preventative of other issues to come.
So I'm not even gonna lie. There's a lot to unpack there. I mean, just in that question itself, and it seems like it could get a whole lot longer.
Years to become a rabbi,
right? So anybody on the cast have any questions that they want to elaborate on that before I ask mine?
Yeah, like so you can't drive?
Correct. We can't drive.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say, what about like automatic headlights? Like, do you just drive down the road at night with no lights on?
So one of the questions I think that came on, by the way, which is a good question, was that again, this could get mad complex. But a person asked about driving Teslas on the Sabbath because theoretically they could be fully autonomous, and they would theoretically be okay because you're not setting anything up, you're not doing anything that would be considered negative, so to speak. And there's also something that again some people follow. This would be people that would be considered on a more lenient level of following. It's not, I'm not judging, I'm not saying that, but there are people who follow lower level of lenient stringencies for the Sabbath, where there's something called the Sabbath elevator, that if there's like a hotel convention, so to speak, and everyone at the convention happens to be Jewish, they'll have an elevator system where the elevator stops on every single floor all the way up and all the way down. So you're not choosing which floor you're going to, you're not pressing any button, it stops at each level. We don't follow that, meaning from my sect of Judaism, we don't follow that, because the idea is that technically, by you adding weight to the elevator has to add energy to be able to function to the, meaning it understands that now there's not imbalance, so to speak, with nothing in it versus weight in it. So we avoid it because we don't want to create something that's triggering a mechanism that would allow it or need it to do more to suit us, which means although you're not officially pressing it, you're kind of are. So we try to avoid that. Things like that.
So pretty much the be a burden unto nothing else and have nothing burden you is pretty much a day of the Sabbath, correct?
Pretty much. So again, like it's usually a day of prayer. It's like a day of family, which by the way, like a big question that comes up, like it's like a philosophical question that people ask like every now and then. Like if you woke up one day and found out you weren't Jewish, would you be upset? Or like what would your plan be? Right. So the whole thing is that what did it teach me up to this point is that we're very big on charity in the Jewish world. It's a minimum of 10%. And a lot of people give up to 20% of any amount of income that comes in goes to charity. Like that's a solid rule across the board. And then on the Sabbath as a whole, it's a really cool concept that no matter where you're holding, what your life is, no matter how crazy your work schedule was or how terrible business was or anything of the entire week, on the Sabbath, there's an indisputable rule. You're not touching your phone. So I don't care about the updates. I don't know what's happening. Like I'm focusing on my family. I'm focusing on times that no, I'm not worried about my kid suddenly walking off with an iPad. It's a focus on just family and just God, which I think is like by itself an amazing thing. Now, there are random times you're like, oh my God, I wish I knew earlier. Like for example, after one of our holidays, I look at my phone and that's when I found out Trump was shot. But a bunch of people knew before me for hours prior. And I'm just so behind on what just happened to the news. Like I just like scroll on Instagram, like, whoa. And then like you backing up to try to get all the details. Maybe good also because you're getting some of the more updated information as opposed to in the moment figuring out as things are going along and more information comes out. We're a little bit past that in some cases, but generally speaking, I like the idea where it's it's a written rule, like no technology, family time, and God.
I'm not going to lie. I didn't even know he was shot on a Saturday.
I don't think it was it might not have been on Saturday, but it might have been a religious holiday, which holidays could have some similar laws to the Sabbath, depending on the type of holiday.
Oh yeah, like Christmas. Like I think I messaged you like Merry Christmas or something, and you like didn't respond to me back for like 3 days or something. And I was like, bro, like it's already over.
It could have been during a holiday. Exactly. If it fall out on a holiday, I wouldn't be able to respond.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. Yeah, no, yeah. I get it. I also know that you probably have like way more people who are much more important than I.
Than you? No chance. Unless Adam texts me, then it's different.
So this is just a quick one, like with kids, because you obviously have a couple small children. Yeah. We're not going to do any of that, but like with the religion, how it is, like you're not allowed to touch iPads and do things like that. Like you just spend a whole day with your kids. Did they just get bored of you and they're like, I want to go back on YouTube? Or if you just never even been that type of family, you're like, you don't give them an iPad or anything.
So it's very cool that, first of all, I'm very against the iPad only parenting. I'm super against it. Go outside and touch grass. Like, I'm going to make sure my kid has skill sets beyond the other kids that he's going to go to school with. So my kid already knows how to apply a tourniquet. He knows already the basics of cleaning a rifle. Like, he's 3. So I'm expecting him to develop a little bit more beyond that. But I don't like the iPad kids. I will not allow them. It doesn't mean they don't use it, but I'm not going to be the iPad kid stereotype that we're dealing with a lot today.
So pretty much you don't just like let them just sit around with an iPad. But like,
no chance.
so
No chance.
do you teach them the importance, like at their age of whatever, however young they are, like say it is the Sabbath and they're like, oh, I'm going to grab daddy's phone and wander around with it. Is that like
they know, like they already understand at this point that it's just a blatant no. Like, this is a good rule for parenting in general, is that consistency and structure is what children want in general. It's nothing to do with religion. I'm saying kids want stability. They want to know that there are rules, and kids flourish within certain rules. Obviously, there's bad parenting that could go beyond that extreme, but generally speaking, kids, they flourish in guidelines that they understand how they're able to grow. So for us in Judaism, they're saying, like, on the Sabbath, like, there's never a time that I would fold and say, no, it's fine, you could use the iPad, because religion says otherwise. They know that they wouldn't even ask, because it's not a concept that they know their parent doesn't fold there. So it just kind of develops with anything. Like, kids will develop better when they understand certain rules, and that way it becomes non-negotiable. And then they don't end up being bothered by it anymore, just because they know it's not a possibility. So we'll go on a walk, we'll read a book, which is another thing that kids should do. Read books, right? Go outside, like, and then, like, again, other things beyond that, like, again, there's more on the parenting side of things. There are things that you're able to do to help just make it more engaging for children, so that you'll try to teach them something, they'll develop in a different way, but it doesn't have to be electronic specific.
Okay, sorry, I was on mute there. I was looking up more questions. Did anybody else want to ask a question before we move on to the next one that we have here?
I mean, the only thing that I can say is all of this is very eye-opening. Like, it's very interesting because I don't know any of this stuff. The only thing that I could tell you, Rabbi, is that and I hope I'm pronouncing it right, there's a synagogue literally right up the street from me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's been there like forever. Like, it's always interesting because I'm always curious, because there's times where there's a ton of people there, and then there's like nothing.
I'll tell you why that usually is. Generally speaking, there are people who are like, so to speak, they identify as Jewish, but they're not actively involved as much in the religion. Like, they're living more like what we usually refer to as like just regular secular lives, just doing whatever, which is fine. Like, you do you, bro. But there's certain holidays that most Jews will feel very connected to, which ultimately means that they'll definitely be in synagogue on these set holidays. So, for example, there's a holiday called Rosh Hashanah, which is the Jewish New Year, or Yom Kippur, which is like a day of like atonement and things like that. So there are certain days that they might like run over, because like it's just, so to speak, the core, versus more neutral holidays that I don't feel as connected to need to be there for.
But my only other question, this is one that I didn't send you, but is the Sabbath from sun up to sundown, or is it from like midnight to midnight? Like, how does that work?
So Judaism goes according to the lunar calendar as opposed to the solar calendar. So officially our days begin at night, and then it goes to the next night at sundown. So times change, obviously, it's just like regular hours change. So it's never like a 12 to 12 thing. Like during the summer, it might be longer. During the winter, it might be shorter, but they go according to the lunar calendar.
That's very interesting. All right, so no more questions. I'm assuming. So there's a couple that I had from some people. There's one I know, a pastor. He wanted me to ask you this, and he said, "Where would you say true peace is found?" And I'm gonna go ahead and elaborate on this. I don't know if I've ever known true peace. Like, I know probably what that would feel like, but I've never known that, and maybe, whatever. But I do know that he asked that question, and I wanted to give it to you because I'm figuring maybe you could give us some sort of like religious insight, since you are a rabbi,
So I would say it comes in a few different things. So I guess like there's a question of, you're talking about like world peace, or you're talking about inner peace, or things like that. I feel like generally speaking, the way most people live their lives is that people get to an age where they realize that there's not, we take nothing with us physically to the next world. Like we are who we are here, and the stamp that we make on the world today is going to be what's left. Like that's it. So all the ideas of like the old Egyptian kings being buried with all their jewelry is just like a waste, because you don't leave to go to the next world with anything than the difference you made to the people around you. So for me, the thing that would bring peace is every person trying to make a better world for the people around them. So again, for us, a big aspect of that is charity. Like you're actively giving. Charity is such a crazy concept because you're giving things that you took your time and effort to create, and then you're giving it to someone who may not have been able to be as fortunate to be able to do so. So it's the idea of giving away money, specifically your money that you worked and created, is a very big deal. And then on top of that is also boundary. Again, similar to children, people need a structure where they understand, like the adage that kind of brought me to where I am today is, don't mistake my kindness for weakness, where I'm going to do the best to make the world around me a better place, but it doesn't mean to a point that I would be taken advantage of in a way that we're not okay with. So a mix between really trying to do your best and as well as also making sure that you have boundaries that are very clear and set. I think a combination of those two things is really what makes a difference. So my family lives in California. We have a nonprofit called Global Kindness that's based in California. We help 250 families in LA and thousands more around the world. We give clothing to Uganda and Central America and anywhere around the world that we also ship clothing out to. We also work with organizations that help with people who are like missing limbs. So sometimes people will donate clothes to the organization that have like a single shoe as opposed to a pair. And instead of making them pay for a pair, we'll just have those donated to people to help them out, like in those regards. And that's been my family's commitment of always trying to do charity and pay for whatever they can for people to help people out. So I grew up around that environment beyond just the religious aspect. It was about like how I lived my life growing up.
Okay, on the charity aspect, I do have a question about that. I remember when the whole Israel Gaza thing popped off. I'm not going to get into politics. I don't care what your politics are. I'm just asking this because I know that you gave a lot of your personal equipment to people over there fighting. Would that be considered charity for you, or would that just be considered like, do you feel that is just your duty to do as a fellow Jewish person or a rabbi? Like,
so I think
would that
it really
fall
is
in
both,
charity?
honestly, because like ultimately I am giving away things that belong to me, which again, like I'm doing it obviously for the purpose that I feel is important, but I am giving away my stuff. So on raw, like just on paper, keeping it as bland as possible, any amount of income that comes to me in any form or fashion, I cut off a minimum of 10%, depending on the environment, whatever. I'll at the minimum cut off 10%, and I'm going to separate that for charity. I mean, it's not my money. That's for the purpose of anything else but me. So when everything kicked off with like the whole war, is people were coming to my house because they knew I was like the gun guy, and I gave away all my primary equipment. So I also stopped YouTube for almost, I think it was over a month at that point, because my focus was on making sure I got the biggest thing I was sending out to there was medical equipment. So I was like fundraising as best I can. I was connecting to as many people as I can, because the biggest thing was, regardless of where you are on the political side there, everyone needs medical. So I sent over $80,000 worth of tourniquets. That was just tourniquets alone. And then body armor, plate carriers, helmets, guns and ammunition are very complicated. Some night vision, but there's a lot of ITAR regulations that we had to get around to be able to make that a reality. But yeah, whatever I was able to send over.
Wait, so you won't send me night vision, but you'll send it to everyone? No, I'm just kidding.
I don't have night vision, bro. Ask Millar.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty interesting. Anybody want to have any more questions? No.
I think the one question I had to kind of add to the donation piece is that, anybody listening, watching, is there anywhere that they can, donate to that cause if they choose to?
Which cause?
Being able to send equipment over to, our partners over in Israel.
So I'll try to send a link if I can. There's an organization I was working with. They're called Chayal El Chayal, which is, it means the translation is like soldier to soldier. They're a big part of the lone soldier program. So a lot of soldiers who don't have family in Israel but are going there to serve anyway. But in general, they organize a lot of like food and just equipment that they may not be able to get. So I could try to send a link to Hoodlum. I think I actually created a page when the war started. There's like the Tactical Rabbi donation page, but like it still goes to the same place. It's similar to like well, not really like a GoFundMe, but pretty much people have like their own funnels that lead to the same thing, and it's just like showing your support through your like avenue, so to speak. And I can send that out over if people are interested.
Yeah, I'll post it down below in the links. I have no problem with that. If you send it to me after the show, because I think when this does its thing, I will put this video on YouTube tonight, and then the audio podcast they should release at the same time tomorrow. So as long as you get that to me, I can put it in. I can put it in there. Another question I'm going to delve deep into with past and current world events targeting Jewish people all over the world. Is self-protection of any kind, i.e., guns, knives, MMA, important to Jewish people?
So it's always been, but obviously, like this is not a Jewish thing. This is a human response thing. When something bad happens, people realize that they need to step up, or that they're not as prepared as they were. I was actually having a very interesting conversation with a friend of mine recently, where he has like a very serious go bag like in his car, because like his entire life is in his car, like his work and like his equipment, like his entire business runs out of his vehicle. So it's like a really, really important thing to him. And he said that he remembers that after September 11th, they were parked at the end of every bridge in New York, waiting for people to walk over because everything was blocked off. So people who were in the towers and needed to leave New York and go to New Jersey or anything like that, they were walking because a lot of places were shut down or were not allowing people in, or because of the oversurging of cars, people couldn't get out. So those are times that people kind of looked and like, what could I change with my kit that would make me a more prepared individual to deal with these kind of things? So after October 7th, I probably trained in the next max maybe 3 months, close to 500 new people who never even considered having a gun in their home. Like that's a lot of people to suddenly get involved in firearms and be involved in that. So it took a lot of training. I was giving like guidance on firearm selection, and I was giving guidance on like medical selection and just basic fundamentals to build up. Thankfully, because like unfortunately, but thankfully, at least a lot of people were going about it the correct way, where they wanted to do it right. So practicing with dry fire training and developing it as much as possible, things like that. So that was good to see. Yeah, that made a massive surge when it came to gear and equipment, even for myself, by the way, because like after that event, I looked at my gun room and I was like looking at the equipment that I have, and I was like, this was the real version of Red Dawn, as closest to Red Dawn as you could get, where people were literally coming down from the sky, gunning down civilians. So if you looked at your equipment and say, if I have a Minuteman kit, what am I actually grabbing right now and leaving with? Like, I need to know this like for real. And that really changed a lot of the perspective of what I would need to leave the house with.
Okay. I mean, that makes complete sense. I could totally understand that. I guess it's all just shit I never thought about before. Like me as like a dumb American, I watched that whole thing happen. I'm like, weren't there like soldiers like around? Like, weren't there Israeli soldiers around? And then like I remember
there's a lot of questions.
Yeah, like, and I remember like I was like, well, how come nobody was like ready? Like nobody, like you saw a bunch of like paratroopers pretty much coming in on their little I don't even know what they call them, but they what are those like
paragliders.
Yeah, paragliders. They were on those paramotor. That's what it's called. When it has an engine, it has a paramotor.
Yeah,
they're coming in and they're just shooting up people. And I'm sitting there like, as a dumb American, I'd be like returning fire, But at the same time,
I'll give you some context there. So there are plenty of questions that are yet to be answered, because there was a massive military failure in the fact that could happen. But let's assume that it was all nice and dandy and happened anyway, right? The issue that came about is that Israel's firearms policies are miserable. So the first issue is that after you're trained in the military in Israel, when you become a civilian, you're not allowed to own a rifle. You're only able to own a pistol, which is a different platform and very difficult to train differently than just because you're in the military. So rifle to pistol transition is way more difficult than pistol to rifle transition when it comes to fundamentals. So a lot of these guys are walking around with pistols as opposed to having rifles. The guys who are allowed to have rifles, to my knowledge, I think civilians are only allowed to own 50 rounds of ammo total.
That's not even 2 full mags.
That's not, it's a disaster. So the issue is that even if they potentially had the option to defend themselves, they were very limited on ammunition. Now, a part of what I ended up doing for myself after watching a lot of the combat footage and how it played out was that I now have my plate carrier set up was a minimum of 7 magazines. 7 or 8. I think it's 8 magazines, because there was one individual. There's kind of like little towns in Israel. They're called the kibbutz. They're like little towns, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the guys that saw what was coming, he laid down on a rooftop. I think he had 7 magazines and was in a 12-hour gunfight between the people that were coming in, and that's the mags that he had. So I have no idea what the firing was like, what the cadence of shooting was like, but based on the reports, he was on top of a rooftop for around 12 hours, just taking guys out during the initial attack. But again, that means he was a guy who had military access to firearms. Otherwise, he wouldn't have that much ammunition.
To me, that seems ultra restrictive. Like you're a country. You're a country literally always at war, and your neighbors with your enemy. Like you would think, like, you know, the best thing would be to have the people armed. To me, when I see stuff like that, I think it's so short sighted. Like there was something some fucking Canadian said one time, where it was like, you know, I live in Canada and I own guns, but I could never imagine carrying a gun with me everywhere I go every day. And I'm like, that to me is like, yeah, I get that you live in Canada, you know, but at the same time, like. I, as a human, I would be like, I can't live in a system that restrictive. Like I need my gun with me every day.
Armed society is a polite society.
Yeah, like you're not going to pick a fight with people you know have guns. Like I won't. I don't pick a fight with people even if I know they're unarmed. I'm like, I'm going to walk the fuck away. You know, like
So I do have one question, Rabbi. In all the advice that you were giving for these people, what was like the common rifle you went with? Like if someone came to you and asked you, what were you giving them?
So you're talking about for the people that were coming to train
or otherwise?
Train with you, specifically you, like what were you giving them as like, this is the rifle you should own, or pistol? Where were you going with?
So the answer was, which it may sound kind of bland, but the answer was get a rifle. Like it wasn't about brand or model specific. The issue is that people, again, within a grouping of 500 people, again, rough estimate, you have people who don't have a budget, that means they're willing to spend whatever. And you have people who are very, very limited, but they still understand that they need to put money into this somehow. So it wasn't really going to be saying like, get this gun. It was about just get a gun if you can and just have it accessible. Like every person you have to own a rifle.
So I hope you steered them.
So about length, we were dealing with a lot of New York and New Jersey, so we were somewhat restrictive. So for the legal side of it, what I ended up doing was I said, this was where the advice came in. I said the minimum thing you should do is a 14.5 pinned, or just get a 16-inch rifle. The only reason why is that there's far less legal restrictions that change up on those guns as opposed to getting an other or a pistol. Or a lot of these guys are not going to be lifetime committed gun owners. They just want to have a rifle. So I'm like, if you're not going to be someone who's keeping up with legalities and you show up to a range one day and a pistol brace is banned, you're just going to get yourself into issues. So I say like stay neutral as much as you can, train as much as you can and develop. But if you want to just be bleh, just go that route. It's as simple as you could get it.
Okay.
Smart.
You did steer them away from Bear Creek Arsenal, though, right?
I not publicly. I did recommend like a few websites. Maybe a lot of these guys are not building. Like for example, like I happen to like Aero Precision. I think they're a great company. But to my knowledge, I don't think that they sell a lot of complete rifles on their website that could also ship to New Jersey and New York. I think a lot of what they do is parts as well because of legalities of their particular state or something like that. So although it's something I would say that I think they're a good company you could start with and they're not particularly expensive, it may not be something that when I say assembler build, people think that you're like tweaking the entire gun. I'm like, no, you're taking it upper and putting on a lower, and that's a rifle. But it's kind of beyond what they were willing to research. They just wanted to grab a rifle and leave. So for them, I'm like, get what your local store has available to you. It may not be the best, it might not be perfect, but if we think things are about to get worse for us, at least for the short term, just grab what you can.
Oh, all right. I mean, that makes sense. Anybody else have any questions real quick?
The only other thing I was going to say is the 7 magazines. I'm pretty sure that's standard combat loadout.
Correct. Is it 8 or 7?
It's 8.
8.
8.
Oh, it's 8? Oh, I thought
7,
it was 7.
7 on you plus 1 on the gun.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, it's a combat loadout of 210 rounds. So your combat loadout is 210 rounds. That's standard issue Army combat loadout. So it's like if you're going to be running, like 8 mags is what you should have. Now I will tell you, I run 4 on my chest rig, and then I have 1 in the gun, so I have 5. So I'm not running 8. Like that's a lot. Like I don't think people walk around enough with 8 mags
You're just not
No.
ready for combat, brother.
Nope, I'm not. I will tell you right now, my whole job is to retreat. I don't I am no
Thank you for your
longer
service.
I'm no longer a PFC hoodlum anymore. So I don't have to do that shit.
I do have a question though. You might have some inside information that'll tickle my brain. Did they find a pure red heifer yet?
So to my knowledge, there's been a few cases that people said they've spotted them, but even religiously, it's the complexity of finding one is so difficult because they said, like, from what I remember learning is that even if there's two black hairs on an entire red animal, it's considered like void. Like you're talking about as pure as you could get. So in my opinion, based on one that people said they've, so to speak, found, I have too much doubt at the moment that it's. I mean, the question is, does it exist versus has it been found? It's two different things. I don't think it's been found. That's my 2 cent opinion. I don't think so.
okay, so can you explain that?
Don't even
'Cause I
worry
don't-
about it.
Huh?
Don't even worry about it.
Well, I think you should elaborate for the listeners and the viewers. I really think we should elaborate a little bit on that one.
Yeah,
Well,
even
the
I'm
reason
like,
I
what?
The reason I even asked that is because I thought last year there were actually some in Texas that they found, and they got sent over for them to inspect and all that. And they were young; they were too young, so they were staying over there. And I want to know if they killed it yet and built a temple.
So first of all, in regards to like the redemption and okay, so I'll back up a little bit. First of all, I'll clarify. I'm not an expert in this topic. I want to really hype. This is one of those times I'm letting you know, not an expert. So to my knowledge, the way that it works is that there is an animal that's referred to as the red heifer. And what it is that it's going to be an animal that would be slaughtered and used to repurify us from the, so to speak, exile that we're in. So the qualifications to be classified as a red heifer is really high level. So it needs to be purely red, which means even if the animal has like 2 black hairs, it's considered impure or not perfect, which means it would be not classified as what is needed. Now, in regards to like the Messiah, so to speak, all these things are going to be coming like later, like after, so to speak, redemption, because that's like, first there has to be proof that he was actually the Redeemer and all this other like stuff before you get to the point of anything else really taking place. Obviously within Judaism, there's a lot of like debate and speculation of like, what does redemption really look like? And what's the process post like redemption of like what happens? But generally speaking, that's going to be something like 3 or 4 steps in, like earliest, like beyond what's going to happen anyway.
All right. I mean, that's interesting.
Chris is Googling like so fast right now. You have no idea.
He's a Reddit expert. He's deep diving into Reddit right now. He's on that anti-Israel page. Like,
Hey man, don't call me out like that. You spoke about that in private.
So, all right, I'm just gonna keep reading through my list here. So, since the start of the Israel-Palestine conflict, has Jewish people been seeking more training through you? Did we just covered that?
Yeah, pretty much.
So, culturally, how is EDC pistol different than a non-Jewish person? Synagogue rules, Sabbath rules, anything.
So this is a very good question. So first of all, we'll end off this because I'm cut off on time, but I think this is a very good question. So similar. I'm going to start digging myself my own hole here, but I think this is just cool talk, cool conversation anyway. So similar to like what we mentioned, where we generally are not using electricity on the Sabbath, right? There's a lot of questions about EDC on Sabbath. Like for example, could I carry a gun, but I can't carry a flashlight with it? Could I have a red dot because it's considered electrical, so it could be created as an issue? And what it comes down to is that there's a concept called sakanas nefashos, which is pretty much means that it's a life-saving device. And the idea is if it's a life-saving device, no rules apply. If you're able to save a life, you can do whatever you want to any degree you want if you can guarantee the preservation of human life. So as an example, we're not going to pull out an AED and have someone start powering it with a bicycle to get the energy going because that's stupid and inefficient. Right? Use the AED the way it was intended. So the idea is that medical staff are able to use radios if it means, again, communicating that there's an emergency. And this still ties in to, again, like there's a lot of like speak to your local rabbi for your own permission. But the way I was taught was that if you're carrying a firearm and a flashlight and a red dot will make you more proficient in preserving life, you can set it up in any configuration you want to be as proficient as possible. Because again, it's a life-saving tool. So
see, and that
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I had a million questions about that because it's like, yeah, I get that it's a life-saving tool, but then do you have to atone for anything afterwards?
No,
Or
if it's serving life, if it's saving life, it's not just something that you could do, it's an obligation to protect life. So we actually have commandments that require us to try to preserve life if we have the ability to do so. So again, going a little bit deeper into it, if I carry with a red dot and a flashlight and then suddenly something kicks off, I have an obligation to respond, because you can't say like retroactively, like I was doing it in case something happens, then I back out in the event that it happens. Like, because I would imagine to some degree it retroactively screws you for all the times you were carrying it and said it was for the purpose of responding, but then something comes up and you didn't actually respond to it. So if you're carrying, you have an obligation to respond, because you're looked at as a protector of life and you have to commit to that. So
okay.
the other thing in regards to like attire is that you might know that so some of the attire we have, it's like a long coat. It's called a kapata. So it's pretty much a suit jacket, just elongated, similar to a
like a peacoat.
Is it like, like in orchestral music, some of the guys have like the tuxedos that go like really long kind of style.
Oh yeah, with like the big flails on the back and everything.
Yeah, so it doesn't have the flails, meaning it's really just like a tubular kind of design straight down.
A peacoat.
So yeah. So the issue that comes about with that is like when I first, this is something that you're going to usually get once you get married. So if you're single, you wear like a regular suit jacket. When you get married, that's like a new skin from foreskin. Not foreskin. Oh my God, Fortnite. You see, Judaism brought me foreskin into this. Okay, so like it's kind of like a new skin going on. And the idea is that it's a kind of a double-breasted design. So the right side goes over the left, and it's buttons. So the issue is how are you accessing a firearm and which position are you carrying to actually get it accessible. So what I ended up doing is I modified my jacket where it looks like it has buttons, but the back of it is actually a snap. So I can actually snap open my jacket. So people who don't know, it just looks like a regular jacket, but I carry appendix and I could snap open the jacket to reach appendix. And that's how I end up drawing. So it doesn't change the look of the actual coat, but it still gives me access to my firearm.
Okay, and I know you said you had to wrap up, right? You need to leave.
I'll give you one more if it's good.
Okay, so I wanted to know and this is a question that I had. The leather wrap that you guys use, what is it and what is it used for? That leather wrap that goes on your arm.
So the English word for it, to my knowledge, is called phylacteries. And what it is that it's a leather material box with straps that go around your arms. So the pretty much basic taught explanation for what it is that we have one that's called a shel yad, which means for the hand, and we have another one called shel rosh, which is for the head. So we have one on our arm and one on our head, and we wrap it for morning prayers. In the morning when we pray, these are dawned on for the prayer services, and the head and the arm pieces have parchment in it that's also made from like cowhide, and it's leather material, and there's different portions of the Bible inscribed on those papers that are put onto the head and put onto the arm. And the idea is that you have one that's by your arm, which is representing being by next to your heart, and then one on your head that's representing being by your brain. And it's a reminder that that your thoughts should supersede desire. So we have one that's on top of our head to remind us that your brain should be focusing more than the desire of your heart. If that makes sense.
Oh, okay. So
it's also the reason why we have one of these. Huh?
Oh, is that a sin? Is that a cardinal sin?
I chose the right ACU pattern for my head. But
are you allowed to like take that off at any point?
You're generally supposed to keep it on. You're not supposed to move without it. Like there should always be a covering on your head. And the significance of this is that we always have something on top of our head to remind us that there's a God above us. So it's a constant reminder that be humble. There's someone greater than you, and keep your head level.
Like you could wear a baseball cap, right? Like
correct. Any type of covering is acceptable as long as there's something above it.
So I know this. I'm sorry. I'm gonna delve deep here. When you wear your hat, your other hat, yep. your brimmed one that you put on. Yep. So do you leave it's a yarmulke, right?
This is not it. This was for an upcoming video.
Do you leave? What is that? Is that called a yarmulke?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so do you leave your yarmulke on under that, or do you have like your yarmulke in your pocket and then you?
So out of habit, I leave it on just because also it's more convenient than I feel like I'm going to lose it. But theoretically, I could take it off and just replace it if I wanted to. Also during prayers, it's for like different religious sects. It's recommended that you, so to speak, like double up. So meaning you'll have the primary and then like the hat on top. So you just do it as like a 2-layer thing just to be extra whatever. But for my regular like baseball cap, like at the range or things like that, I could remove this if I wanted to, as long as there's something on top of it. But usually I'll just put something on top and it makes it easier to keep everything the same.
All right. So personal question before you go. Have you ever woken up and forgot to put your yarmulke on before you did it?
Only because that since you're doing it at such a young age, you literally feel immediately uncomfortable if it's not there. Just because since there's something always there, it's not like it's not. You're like it just feels off, so to speak. There are other things like, for example, these I don't know if you can see these guys. These are called fringes.
Oh,
which
okay.
is that pretty much we always look fat. I hate this so much. Like if there's one gripe I have about the attire that Judaism put together. So there's this thing, it's a separate like material. It's called, it's called like, I think it's basically called fringes, but pretty much it's like an undershirt pretty much that has strings that represent the 613 commandments and stuff like that. But because of the shape and design, it always look like, no matter how much ab workouts I do, I look puffy. And then on top of that, you're carrying your appendix ring that makes you look even larger than that. And it's not convenient. It's just not convenient. So this stuff, since it's more of like a shirt material anyway, I have forgotten. I remember forgetting when I was a kid, and I freaked out because I'm like, this is the end. But like, that's going to be something that would be, so to speak, easier to forget than that, just because this is like
So do you have to don that like every day? Like you can't?
I wear it all day.
Oh, okay. So it's
an all day item. These two are all day items.
Okay. That's crazy. So, all right. Well, any more questions?
I mean, you do you, bro. It's kind of weird to me. Is what I'm saying.
I don't think it's weird. I mean, I know it's a.
I'm joking around. It's fine.
No, like it's like a discipline thing. Like, you have to be disciplined about it, and I understand that. Does anybody have anything they want to elaborate on before we let Rabbi go?
Malar wants to know if it's expensive because he wants to buy one.
Yeah.
Use code BLP10.
Does it come in a ballistic version?
You need to test ballistic yarmulkes.
Yeah.
Oh, let's do that. Like my head's gonna be caved in, but the bullet didn't go through.
We had a big argument about this last week about helmets.
This is but by the way, Malar, this is the extent of my current night vision setup. I don't know if you could see. I have
oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, see that? So these are the two bathroom rolls that I put goon tape because it's tactical goon tape. Right? Then I have my cap on top. Oh, I can see, and I have a little flashlight right over there.
I couldn't see the flashlight originally, but yeah, now you got a good setup there.
Dude,
I need to upgrade it. It's not a stream light, so there's place for modification. But as of right now, this is what I got.
What he's saying is it's an O-light, and he's committed a sin. I don't think God would want you to have O-light.
Yeah, I was concerned
that grenade to my face.
Yeah, I was concerned the hat was going to light on fire.
Anybody have anything before we let Rabbi go? We're going to continue our podcast, but I just wanted to. Anybody? No. All right.
I only care for the red cows.
You only care for the red cows. All right. Well, we'll let you go. You have a good night, and we'll bring you back on for part 2 one of these weeks. I don't know if you're available. Not next week, but one of the following weeks. We'll figure out if you can come back on.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, awesome. You're more than welcome. Or we can just do it after hours. Like if you're up at 1 a.m., you're more than welcome to.
I need to have Chris around to constantly be laughing at my jokes and Googling. Like that's gonna be the guy that I need going on in the background.
I do it all the time.
He's my support, Chris.
He's my support, Chris. First, hey, you can't take it from me.
There's no way you could get me to go up there because I'd have to leave my cans here, and I'm not doing that.
I respect that. No problem.
Actually, my SPR would have to stay too.
Yeah, I don't think you could, unless you're an SOT. I don't think you can take your SPR to New Jersey.
Oh, no. Gross.
That's terrible.
I know it's terrible. You need to leave New Jersey, man.
I'm working on it. Eventually, I don't know. I'll see what happens.
Eventually, we'll all be dead, and Rabbi will be 90, and he'll be like, you know what? I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave New Jersey.
The laws have changed. He's gonna semi-automatic salt gun.
He's gonna get to Texas. He's gonna file for his first suppressor, and he's gonna die before it gets approved.
Oh no!
I feel like based on your luck right now, I feel like if I file for a suppressor, I'm still gonna get it faster than you.
You probably would, yeah. You'd probably have the only suppressor in New Jersey that got approved before me. All right.
Okay,
Well,
you guys have a great night. Enjoy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We'll be in touch.
we'll bring you on for round 2 because we still got so many questions. So,
Deal.
all right, sweet.
Have a great night, guys.
Have a good
Bye.
night.
Yeah.
So, what'd you guys think? How did everything go? Did you guys enjoy our part 1 of questions?
Dude, it was a ton of fun. Are you kidding me?
Dude, I love that, and I'm not gonna lie, probably one of the nicest freaking people I've ever met. And I always talk to him. We always have sexy chats like Adam and I do sometimes. We'll sit up and talk at like 3 o'clock in the morning for absolutely no reason.
Foot pics for no reason.
Yeah.
No, that was cool. I wanted more inside information on the red cows.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm gonna go feed my dog. Talk amongst yourselves real quick, gentlemen.
I'm guessing the red cow, like, and I guess I caught a little bit where it has to be like pure red, like it can't have
Right.
any
can't
other
have
color,
single-
right?
Yeah.
That's-
And then you got to sacrifice it and like do something with the ashes and build a temple, and then that's when we all die.
Oh, fun,
That's
So
what
we were waiting a long time for it.
fun.
Found some
I'll be-
candidates
I'll
down in
be, I'll
Texas.
be looking for some red cows, man. Don't you worry.
That's where they found the last batch. We're in Texas.
Sounds about right.
I can't wait.
Man, I was gonna just sit here and complain.
Yeah,
weather?
how's the weather? Oh, the
Yeah.
weather's perfect, but fuck, it's a little cold.
No, dude, I was just gonna complain because the LMT upper I want went up like another fucking $60-$70, and it's irritating me to know it.
Everything is skyrocketing.
It's just so stupid, man. It's just
Yeah, it's
No, it isn't skyrocketing. Bear Creek Arsenal.
oh, dude, please. You see, I see him on my YouTube short sometime, and I'm just like, ugh. My whole body shudders.
So here's my thing. Like, so I'll let everybody know when I first got into guns after the army. My first upper was a 6.5 Grendel Bear Creek Arsenal. I had so many fucking issues with that gun. And then I started talking to other people who owned Bear Creek Arsenals. And they were like, oh man, it's just, they had a bad batch of this, they had a bad batch of that. I kept getting so much of, like the BCA apology, it's just one of these things that just sucks, blah, blah, blah. And I remember I was like, well, if you make a product that's this and bad, like, why would I want to keep it? And I legitimately, I sent it back for a full refund. They fully refunded me. And I remember I was just like, no, I will not own another Bear Creek Arsenal product. And I think a year and a half after that, I bought one of their 5.56 barrels, and I saw that thing keyhole right out of the box. It was one of their. They gave it away for like a Veterans Day thing. It was a free barrel. All you had to do was I don't even think you had to pay for shipping. You just you sent them your DD-214 and they gave you a free barrel for Veterans Day. I got that thing. I put it in a gun, and I remember immediately it sucking. Like it was I think it was.
Look, man, you just happen to get another bad one. It's not their fault,
But here's the thing: like if you legitimately go like to the Bear Creek Arsenal, like subreddits and things like that, you will find people who will tell you, I've had 10,000 rounds on my never fault. Like, first of all, if you're buying Bear Creek Arsenal and you can put 10,000 rounds to a rifle, why did you buy Bear Creek Arsenal? Like, you literally bought the lowest part of like, dude, you have enough money to spend that much on ammunition. Like, obviously spend it somewhere else. Now, look, I'm going to tell you, if that is literally all you can afford, may the power of God be with you in your attempts to save yourself. But I will straight up tell you right now, I am not a big fan of Bear Creek Arsenal.
And it's kind of a shame that they suck as much as they do, because like you were just saying, like they were willing to just send you a barrel for your DD-214.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the intentions are good. Like,
yeah,
it sucks, but they fucking suck.
Well, and that was a big like annoyance through the whole process. I was like, well, you send me a barrel, but it doesn't fucking work. Like, thanks for the paperweight. Like, they did end up they did end up saying that they would exchange barrel free of charge, and they did exchange it, and I tried the new one, and it shot a little bit more accurately. But my whole thing was, I don't want to go through the process of having to build a gun for your free barrel to have to replace that fucking barrel. Like, and that was just my scrupulous nature of being a fucking poor at the time, and I still am.
Scrupulous.
Yeah, scrupulous, dude. I was scratching for money. I was beg, borrowing, and stealing for money at the time. So let's get into our comments from last week. So we had some comments. I'm going to let everybody know before we move on. I have probably 20 more questions for Rabbi. I did want to go ahead and state that we were not going to get through these all. We only had him for about an hour. So I just wanted everybody to know that wasn't going to happen. I have a huge debate that I am going on in my head, and I think I'm going to need the listeners' help on this one. But let's go over our comments. So Noah, 5 days ago, he posted, you guys only hear from me because I'm the best. The rest are posers. And I was like, you are a real one, Noah. So I did respond to him. B Haas said yesterday, really like the after hour stuff. Keep it up. I will release an after hours episode soon. I just don't know when I want to release it yet. But we will have an after hours episode that Adam and I recorded like a month ago. So we'll get that one out. And then Millar, I know you're gonna love this one because you and Chris are gonna sit here and talk about suppressors. Finally, you get to answer a goddamn question. So Tugger Nuts, he wrote in and he said, great podcast with all the suppressor talk you all do. I have a question on them. I just moved to a free state and bought my first one. Well, 6. Congratulations. I moved to a free state and I only have one, so it's okay. But he bought 6 of them. He's got the BNT 556 SRBS. He's got a 556. He's got a BNT 556, an SRBS 556, and an SRBS 762, and he's got a bunch of other ones, I guess. Or did he just buy 2 of each of these? I have no idea. But he said these are direct thread. But if I wanted to go with a mounting system, what would y'all go with? Hub. These suppressors do not give any information on silencer shop mounting capabilities. I will tell you, find a mount and stick with it. I am at a crossroads right now of whether I want to go Reardon or whether I want to stick with dead air. And I am not going to lie, I don't have a problem with dead air, but I really, really, really like the simplicity of the Reardon mounts. I also like Plan A stuff that Griffin has put out, but I don't know if I'm going to stick with that. It's nothing against Griffin. I don't want to have to invest more. Plus, I don't plan on buying a straight Griffin can. I have a Plan B mount that I would probably stick with right now, just because I got it as a takeoff from my buddy Mike's rifle. He didn't want it anymore, and he gave it to me along with the muzzle device for all the lovely work that I do for him. So he ended up giving that to me. I'm going to go ahead and state, if you find a mounting system that you really like, Plan A, Plan B, whatever, Reardon, anything like that, Xeno, Chemo, whatever, find it and stick with it. It is probably your best bet is to just have one mounting system, unless you have like a specific suppressor in mind that is not like the Hux. Like say you want a Hux suppressor and you have to use their muzzle device, correct? Like that's how that would go. I'm going to go ahead and state, then yeah, you have one suppressor that would fit that. Now, do you want to necessarily move that Hux to like all of your other guns? Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but that's up to you and how you want to do it. But I would strictly suggest probably just either sticking with one mounting system, or direct thread is always a good option. I personally don't love direct thread, but I know that there are a lot of people out there that do. So that's up to you. Millar, what would you state? Because I know you actually do have a single mounting system. You only have one. So I kind of want to know your opinion on that and where you fall in line.
I mean, for me, I kind of fell in line, I think it's fair to say, with the rugged mounts, and rugged didn't offer hub until I guess the last 4 years. And I had purchased my cans prior to that. So I have like 6 rugged mounts on barrels, and I have 30 cal mounts that aren't mounted to anything. So for me, the rugged mounts, I'm pretty invested into that. So I mean, me getting this anechoic suppressor, it makes more sense for me to get the rugged rum mount, so I'm not buying a shit ton more of muzzle devices. But if you're just fresh, diving into it, I have heard a ton of good things about the Rearden mounts. I mean, that's probably the direction that I would suggest researching a little bit and seeing if that fits your needs. But yeah, for me, I'm kind of stuck with down the rugged route, especially because the original rugged cans are not hub. Like some of their new ones, you can actually unthread the back and you can change out and run, reared in or other options out there. But mine, and even if you were to look at the Razor 762 right now or the Micro 30, as well as a few of the other, older rugged cans, they do not offer hub. I know their new Surge X, they've now switched to hub, but yeah, it's pretty restrictive as far as, I mean, if I want to be able to swap between the cans that I've been running for years and then run something new, I'm going to be running the rugged rum.
Okay. All right. I mean, would you say that my assessment of just buying one mount and sticking with it would probably be the case then?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely, that's kind of why I was saying to research too, though, because you want to find what fits your needs. In particular, I mean, in my case, like I said, when I jumped into it with rugged, I knew I was kind of going down that rugged route, which at the time they didn't have the rum mount. So I didn't know, kind of future forward what it was going to look like if I were to venture outside of the rugged family of suppressors, if I would have that capability. But thankfully they released their mount. But yeah, as far as what you're looking for, if you've got direct thread and you don't want to run direct thread and you want to do something, QD, I don't know. In my mind, I keep going back to the Rearden because I've heard a lot of good things about that. But then again, I mean, if you are looking to do, like a 13.7, 13.9 with the chemo, I mean, then you would want to look at a dead air mount. But I don't know. I've heard so much good about the Reardens. That's kind of the route that I'd suggest checking out.
I would say probably stick with the Rearden because I know you can get mounts for 13.9 Rearden and stuff like that. I will go ahead and state having a chemo mount on my Lahar 30, that can is very, very, very heavy with the chemo mount. On its own, that is a very lightweight can, but when you add that chemo hub to it, it gets ridiculously heavy. What I will tell you though is with the rugged or not rugged. Wow, you got me saying rugged. With the Rearden mount that I do have, that muzzle device and mount that goes into the suppressor, the hub mount, I would say it's like a third the weight of the the chemo. Like that's where I'm going to go ahead with that. I think to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense to go chemo anymore because it is an older, heavier system. And we do have systems that will do the 13.9, 14.5 type deal. 13.7, I think that's a good one if you really want to go 13.7. But I went 13.9. I've got no problem with it. I would go 13.9 before I go 13.7 because there's a wider availability for muzzle devices with 13.9. But that's, we're not getting into barrel lengths right now. I'm just saying, like, if you want the most amount, like, chemo, Silencer Co, ASR, all of those are good options. They're very heavy, but if you want to go lightweight, I would honestly suggest Rearden. Yes, they are a little bit, they're not super pricey, especially if you can get like their military discount stuff. Those are good. Griffin, the Griffin's Plan A, I think is what they call it. That's a good mounting system from everything that we've done with Chris's can, and Adam has their stuff too. I think their taper mount is really good. Some people hate Griffin's taper mount. They think that it's stupid. Hey man, you do what you want to do. It's your thing. I will say that Chris and I have carbon locked on his can to my rifle after like 6 rounds, and we still don't even know how that happened. So And then our buddy Adam over here is just yelling all the time, like, "You guys are morons! How'd you get that carbon locked on there?"
It's
You know.
true too.
It literally makes no sense to me.
It doesn't make any sense to me either. I've told you this.
I don't know what you guys did. You did something.
We did everything wrong.
And also, I mean, look, I speak from the Reddit side of it, but Reddit will die on Reardon's hill.
I wouldn't
There.
tell people that.
Well, it is what it is. You've got a sample pool of millions of people that are using Reardon.
Well, the Reardon mount and the Griffin mount, I'm pretty sure are the same. I'm wondering if the threads are the same. Well, no, the Reardon mount does have the taper before the threads, where the Griffin mount has the taper after the threads.
Correct.
So I guess they probably would not be the same. They probably would not work the same. So
Yeah.
I will say though, with the design of the Reardon and when I used Mike's can that one time, that's a very good system. I would say I would recommend that system. It's very simple, very good. It worked really well.
It was nice. I mean, look, the only thing, and I know you and I have never talked about this with them, but my next can is going to be a flow through, and it's going to be direct threaded onto that thing.
Yeah,
Like,
I would honestly say that would probably be a good route for you.
Why
Yeah.
why do you want to go direct thread?
What? Millar, what
Eliminating
else
muzzle
am I
device.
going to put it on?
Yeah, he has nothing else to put it on. I mean, he literally has one rifle and a shitty Glock
Oh, okay.
that I
Okay.
gave him. So there we go. I made out like a bandit.
But hey,
no,
I'm working towards the Zev. It's going to be coming down the pipeline at some point.
the Zev is awesome. I also got military discount on the Zev, so I'm super happy. I sent him my thing because I saw that they offered a 20% military discount, and I literally like went to their contact us form, and it said other inquiries, and I wrote, "Do you guys still give military discount?" And I uploaded a picture of my DD-214, and they sent me back, "Hey, your account now has your military discount on it." And I was like, "Oh, you still do it? Okay." So I had no idea. I was literally like, "Do you still do it? Can we do it right now?" And they did it for me anyway. But speaking of the Zev, I did go ahead and order. Let's make sure that's clear. So the Zev is the one thing that I really wanted to talk to everybody about. And since we're finally doing this on YouTube, I think that I should let everybody know the Zev, I think, is probably one of the coolest platforms, specifically because I feel it is like a better P365/320. Now with the 320, they have what's considered a fire control group on there. With this, you punch out this little pin right here, and then you're able to separate the actual serialized frame, and you're able to put whatever grips and whatever slides you want on this thing. And to be honest, I love Glock more than I love SIG. Not that SIG makes anything terrible, but I much prefer Glock. And I will go ahead and state that this is the 320 of the Glock platform, and I will die on this hill, and I won't let it go. And I will say 100 times again, if you have the opportunity to buy a SIG 320 and you have the opportunity to buy a Zev, I will recommend 100 times out of 100 to go with the Zev over any SIG platform other than the 226, because that is God tier, and we all know that. That's all I had to say. That's all I wanted to say. That's where I wanted to go with that.
We get it. It makes sense. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get into it too long. I'm excited to get it when I get it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I know
this like really hurts.
I told you, dude. I told you, and I told you when I made that review, I was honest with everybody, and I said, look, the only thing I don't like about this thing is it gives me fucking slide bite. In the 17 and the 19, it has given me nothing but slide bite, and I don't like it. And that is the only reason why I never even bothered, never even gave a shit in the world to try their SC frame, is because I knew that was going to be even worse. And I didn't want to try it, and I just don't like it. To be honest, if you're going to buy a subcompact gun, I do recommend the 43X. If you really want to go the 365 route, you can do that too. But
what about the 45 though? Don't forget 45.
The 45 is not subcompact.
Those are very different guns.
The 43, the 42,
48,
48,
48. Well, yeah, it's a 43X. The 43X is just the short slide version of the 48.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And if you buy a 43X and say you want to go to the 48, you can always just slap on a 48 slide. There's no difference between the 43X and the 48.
No,
See,
I think I want exactly what I want.
the problem I've got is that I have the 43X that's not MOS. Therefore, I don't have a light rail.
Yep.
I can't mount a light. So it's like I've always, ever since I got that, I've never wanted to put any money into it at all. Like put a new, like a 48 slide on it.
You can buy the 43X or the 48 frame. They're the same frame. You can buy them on Brownells. They're like $400.
I mean, at that
Well,
point,
yeah,
though,
but
you
if
might
I'm
as well buy a 48 with the
right.
rail and then be able to swap them back and forth.
Well, see, here's the thing. So I have the 43X that has the it has uh the MOS. That's what I got. The 43X MOS. I love that gun. But I'm going to go ahead and state I've always wanted to put an acro on it. Like I know that sounds ridiculous, but I've actually seen some companies who are putting out acro cut 43X and 48 slides, and they're chunk ported in the front, like they have that big old single port up front. And I've seen companies doing that, and I, honest to God, wish that I could get just a stripped 43X or 48 slide and send it off to a company to go have it chunk ported and cut and all that, so that way I could run that, because that's how I want to do it. I actually have a friend who won a giveaway for an Arc Division slide, and it was one of theirs, and it is cut for an acro, and it will also fit an MPS. And I have an acro and an MPS sitting right here, and I really, really, really want to run that slide to see how much I'm going to like a subcompact gun with that big mailbox optic on it. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, "That's the stupidest thing in the world." Until you run a large enclosed emitter, I don't think that you could necessarily say that. It is a very, very, very it is so good for EDC when I run an enclosed emitter. Now I am running the EPS carry on my 43X, and it is a fantastic setup, but there's something to be said to me for enclosed emitters, especially ones that don't screw into the slide. They screw onto the slide with like clamping force. I would much prefer that over screwing into the slide and having to deal with shit like that. Because when I put my EPS carry on my Glock, I had to go in and cut the screw down and make sure I didn't cut it too fucking short. So it's like there was all that shit that really had to go into it, and I didn't like any of that. So and then having to find that and tune it, and then be like, okay, now I got to go take it to the range and put a bunch of rounds down range to make sure that it's not going to come out, or I have enough thread engagement, but I'm not going so far deep as to where I'm having issues. I mean, because I don't know if you guys saw, but when I put out the 43X video that was having issues with the Shield Arm Gen 2 mags, I got so many people like, your optic screw is going in there. I'm like, no, it's not. That was the first thing I tried. Trust me. Like, but no matter what you say, the internet has this thing where it's like, you know what, I am emotionally attached to this product, and this is how I want to do it. I like testing shit. So that's my whole thing with my hobby on YouTube, is I just like to get shit and mess around with it and test it and see how it works and see if I like it, see if it's something I'm going to carry. And that's one of the things. Like, I know the 43X or the EPS carry and the TLR7 sub, I know with that and combined with the Shield Arms Gen 3 bags, I know I have a very, very, very good working gun. But I also like to just try other shit on top of that. Like, I like to do that. That's my tinkering mind likes to do that. I'm never at rest. Like, I complete one thing, I'm like, ooh, now I can do this. Like, that's where I'm at. So I guess I'm just kind of curious, what are your thoughts on that? I know you should always have like a dedicated setup, right? Like, but at the same time, like, I always love fucking with my shit, you know?
I mean, I can't answer that, but I know Adam probably and Millard probably could better than me.
Adam's never changed his Glock 45 for like 14. The craziest thing is he put a X300 turbo on there the other day.
What do you mean it works?
Yeah, no, it works. Trust me. I love the X300 turbo. This thing has seen so many fucking rounds. It's not even funny.
So I do like doing that as well. To an extent. So like you mentioned the 45. See, I went and I put the Apex tactical trigger and extractor in it, and I'm almost certain that extractor is fucked.
They usually are, and I will say I've had nothing but problems with their extractors.
Okay. Because I never noticed it. And then, I don't know, probably, I think a lot of it, I haven't been shooting the 45 a whole lot, especially with the CZ and the uh, SA35 and stuff. I've been shooting those more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I didn't really notice it until I took it out, what, a couple weeks ago. And yeah, I had a lot of failures with it. So I got to find my OEM Glock extractor and put that in and see what's going on. But yeah, I mean, I don't mind switching stuff out here and there. But at the same time, I do make sure that I have. So if you're messing with like pistols, I make sure that I have like my 43X that's not messed with. It just works. Same thing with like rifles. Like I'll mess around with any of these rifles except the BCM. It sits here. It sits in the same condition it always is, and it just works.
Yeah, well, like my 13.9, it's my home defense
Yeah.
gun. That gun does not get messed with. Like that gun, like even if I were to change out like a trigger pin or anything like that, like I wouldn't do that unless I was going to the range that day.
Yeah.
So you know that's those things, you know, like I put on the die free code grip on my 13.9. I love that setup. I love the die free code grip. I think that it is a great grip. That super vertical angle on there is just so nice. I don't care what anybody says. I love that. In fact, I really want to order 2 more of them. Actually, so another thing when it comes to the slide, these Brownell slides are what sucks is they're being discontinued. So grab what you can while you can. But these also work for Zafiri precision slides and everything like that I've tested out so far. But I actually, Dauntless Engineering, I know that you guys won't be able to see that, but Dauntless Engineering has sent out another plate for me to kind of test out when it comes to the Zev post style of things. So if you have a Zev slide, a Brownell slide, or a Zafiri precision slide, Dauntless Engineering is making these really cool plate adapters. And when it comes to these adapters, like the 509T, that is an ungodly tall optic. I mean, this thing is huge. I mean, there is no way you could see your backup iron sights on this thing whatsoever. So Dauntless Engineering has an EPS plate that they are shipping to me, and I'm going to be working with them, and we're going to be kind of making sure that, you know, it's a good to go. So I really want to buy the CZ. And the new Nocturne, the PO7, PO9, the PO9 compact Nocturne. That's the one I want to buy. That's really, really what I want to do. I have the money right now, just sitting, waiting for it to come in stock. My only other problem is when I buy that gun, it only fits K footprint optics. Does not fit anything larger. So if I were going to run it, I have to run like a 508K or a 407K, a 507K, 508K, 407K, EPS carry, the SRS, K footprint, or an RMSC, I believe is what it is. I'd have to run the SC. I'd have to run one of those smaller framed optics. Now, when it comes to that, the EPS and the EPS carry have the same K footprint, and the EPS carry is a bit larger, but still runs on the K footprint. And I think they made that knowing that there are a lot of people out there that are going to do that. So as of right now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy the EPS, not the carry version because I already have that, but I'm going to buy the EPS. I think that I will have that, and I will test it with the Brownell slide, and then I will get the Nocturne in. And when I do that, I will take it off the Brownell slide, and I will run that I will run the EPS on the CZ, and I will test it out on there because I want the larger optic, not the smaller one, because I like bigger windows, you know. So I guess I'm kind of curious. Should I wait for the CZ to come in, or should I just bite the bullet and buy the EPS carry now and then get the CZ later? I guess
think you should just wait. Get the CZ.
Ramjet.
I don't want the Ramjet. I want the Ramjet. Okay, don't get me wrong. I want the Ramjet.
I feel the exact same way. I want
Right.
it, but I still haven't ordered it.
I don't
Same.
want to spend the money. It is sitting in my cart right now. I'll tell you like that. The EPS and the Ramjet are sitting in my cart right now, and it's like $700 for both of those.
Yeah.
And there is a big part of me that wants to buy both of them right now.
It is. That's something I've wanted for the 45 for a long time, like ever since they released it. But
Mhm.
at the same time, I always look at it and I'm like, man, that's a lot of
Well,
money.
not only that, I have ported barrels.
Yeah.
So I like ported barrels, and I really, really like when I shot Mike's Ramjet. That blew me away at how much that thing reduced recoil. And to be honest, I feel like the ported barrels that I do have right now do reduce a significant amount of recoil, but I think that the Ramjet had more. And I'm wondering it's just because it was more out front. Like, anybody have
More
any?
leverage. Yeah, it's probably
Yeah.
like leverage on the gun, I would
Mhm.
think.
So it's
Little
like
bit
part
of,
of me. Go ahead,
I was
Muller.
going to say a little bit of a sidetrack, but did you guys see the BRN4s on sale right now?
Yeah, did you see it's also out of stock?
Not the one I'm looking at.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, 10-4, medium and heavy contour, both in stock. Oh, the 16 inches in stock, and the 14.5 is in stock too.
Well, why are you going off the question? I'm literally trying to ask a damn question.
Oh, wait, medium contours in stock too in the 14.5.
Get fucked, Hoodlum.
I don't want the 14.5, 10.4 or die.
Yeah, 10-4 is the way. 10-4 is the way.
And it,
But yeah,
medium.
the 10.4 is on sale for $9.99 right now.
that's what I'm saying.
But anyway, go back to the fucking Ramjet and let me know. Like, do you think I should do the Ramjet and the EPS or?
Yes. Yes, you should.
Save your money, get the BRN4.
I don't want the BRN.
I mean, I want the BRN4.
Then you buy it. Enjoy.
I'll work on that.
You get that at the same time you get your your Zev. All right, so the Ramjet in black for the 19 Gen 3 and the EPS carry, that combo right now, if I were to buy them using code BOP10, $774.
Order it.
I don't have
Like,
774.
fuck that.
You know what pisses me off? Sometimes I feel like I order from Brownells, and then all of a sudden, like the next week, they have another 15% off coupon.
Well, that or they'll have what you're waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's so much out of stock. I'm telling you, like all the forward control design stuff, I keep going. I have that wish list
They
built
get
for
a
my
they get a
favorites.
monthly thing. I will look at like the end of a month and there won't be shit, and then I swear to God, next month like they get like sporadic stuff in.
I've noticed right around, and actually they've started to restock things right around now, but I think it's about now until the beginning of the like late in the month and early into the next month. All of a sudden, you start to see products get restocked on the site.
So I have a question about that. So there's obviously items and products that are popular, right? Like
No
they
way.
know people are going to be ordering these things, correct?
I feel like they do.
Why don't they let people just back like Millar should just be able to back order it. So the moment they get it, boom.
I will tell you right now, Brownells had the absolute worst back order system I've ever seen. When they did have back order, but what was it, Millar? I waited
Well,
6 months for a fucking Reptilia grip.
I think they still have it, but what they do, Chris, is they'll only allocate so many to back order. So maybe 10 people can back order, and then after that, you have to wait for it to come into stock. But what I don't like about the back order system, kind of to Hoodlum's point here, is when I've back ordered, I will see that it's in stock on the site. And with my Brownells Edge, I could have it shipped same day. But when I back ordered it, it'll take 48 hours after it shows in stock to ship. So it's easier for me to see that it's in stock and hit order, and I'll get it faster than it is for me to back order it and know that I'm going to get it, it's going to take longer for me to get it than the person that sits there and buys it the day it hits inventory.
But here's my thing about that, right? Like just from a technical background, it wouldn't be that hard for them to fix that system. Like
yes,
unless it's on like some super like really old system,
Windows
it's an easy
98.
fix.
yeah.
They're doing the same thing. They're doing the same thing that Southwest is doing. What was it? It was Windows 95.
XP.
I thought it was
mean,
like Windows 2000.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the same page with you, Chris, though. Like it should be pretty simple, but I find it frustrating that as soon as it hits it has to hit the inventory for them to ship it. And at which point it takes longer for them to ship the back order than it does for the person that's ordering it as soon as it hits inventory.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It literally takes forever because I remember the Reptilia grip came in stock and then I had to call to get them to be like, oh yeah, you are on back order. Like, and we'll ship this out. And then they did ship it out later that day, but it literally sat in stock for like 3 weeks for me to get a Reptilia grip. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, ship this thing. And then it come to find out, because I'd waited so long, the card that I had on file when I bought that, like, expired. So I had to call and give them a new card. And I was like, well, fuck. Like, I don't know. There's just a whole bunch of shit with that. But
Do you see what I sent?
So I was just about to talk about that, Adam. That is like for $600, dude. That looks very solid.
Yeah, it's got a case back.
is it $600?
Yeah.
No shit.
And I'm pretty sure you can use discount codes on their stuff.
Oh, it is $5.99. Yes, I am 21 Brownells. Yeah, it is $5.99.
Yeah, it's a 4150 chromoly, 1-in-7 twist.
I'm a little weirded out. It doesn't come with a charging handle.
Yeah, it has BCG, but no charging handle.
Yeah, I'm like, but I mean, it is a 16-inch. It's got their Petrocomp or whatever that's called. The K-Spec down vent BCG and 1-in-7 twist upper complete black. It's not complete. It doesn't come with a charging handle.
But if you hit up Chris, he has a Raptor he has sent you.
He's got a bridge to sell you too. But yeah, I mean, the K-Spec BCG. So we touched on that before. The K-Spec BCG. I kind of want everybody's opinion, like unfiltered opinion. Chris, how did you feel when you shot the BCG this month? Like when you shot your rifle with the BCG, how did you feel about it? Like when you were shooting it?
I feel that a lot of people on the internet are pilled by it. Like it's a you tell someone it's really good, then they just believe that it's really good. But where I'm noticing it actually being good is anybody with some type of flow through style can or extremely reduced back pressure can, where that thing is really like doing its job. Or it's the other direction where they want to like super tune, right? They want to get the BRT or they want to get an adjustable gas block and they want to do all that stuff. Like that's my thoughts on it. Like I just don't think it's as good as it is.
I mean, I will go ahead and state I think that it does work in certain applications, like on my 20-inch. My 20-inch with that unsuppressed was phenomenal. I've never ever not like you'll get some gas to the face with that down vent BCG. When I shot that, I got nothing in my face. As a left-handed shooter, I got nothing. But when we were running it on the 16-inch carbine length one, like I still got nothing but gas to the face. But again, that is a 16-inch carbine barrel. Like you're gonna get a fucking ton of gas. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I really want to try it in the URGI to see how much better it is, but I want to run the URGI suppressed because that's a mid-length. I feel like that would be really good, especially in a 14.5. That would be good. But I either need to get another. I need to let my buddy come out to the range with us with his RC2, or I need to swap out my muzzle device, which I think I'm probably going to do soon at some point. But there's just a lot of things that I really want to test with it, and I just feel like every time I go to the range, I don't want to take 10 guns with me, so that's where I'm at.
I don't blame you, but I would ask you this: what can do you want to test on the URGI?
The dead air.
Yeah, that makes the most sense.
Yeah. The dead
That
air.
makes the most
I
sense.
was, well, here's the thing though. I have the reared end mount and I think that I could get a reared end mount for the 14.5 and it would be cheaper. And I have the reared end mount and I really want to run the reared end mount on like on the URGI with my Lahar 30 can. I think that would probably be the best bet for me, especially with kind of what I want to do.
Yeah, no, I think that would be. I think that's a solid plan. I do. I think that's a good plan.
But Adam, you had some experience with the KAK, and you were giving us some pretty unfiltered opinions on the audio. But let's hear. Now we're on the YouTube cast. Let's hear what your thoughts are.
Oh, I think that it was very hyped up. People hyped it up, and I think Hop in particular hyped it up that it was going to be amazing for suppressors. And I think it's lacking. It didn't do a whole. It's not that it's
It didn't.
lacking.
It
It didn't
didn't
do
live
anything.
up. It didn't live up to the hype.
Yeah, it literally did nothing in my gun.
Well, that's what I'm saying. People are like, buy the BCG, but oh, make sure you still get you get some type of gas tube that like, from BRT or something to tune the gun. And I'm like,
No, that's fucking stupid.
yeah, I don't want to tune anything. I want to put it in and it just work. Like that's what it needs to do, and it doesn't do that.
I think a
I
lot of people who don't run guns, like, and look, I'll say this: I put a lot of ammo through guns. I don't put nearly as much as I used to because I don't have the same budget that I did. But I will say I still put a lot of fucking rounds through guns. Like when we go out to the range, like I'm putting a minimum of 8 mags through a gun. Like there's a lot of ammo that I still send down range. My ammo budget is blown out most of the time. Hence, Freedom Munitions, ultra cheap, ultra garbage ammo. But what I will say is, I think that if you have a specific application, and it will fit into that, but I don't think people who run like they say they run guns. I put 5,000 rounds through this thing already. Blah blah blah. Like I will see a lot of people say that. I don't think they're doing that, and I don't. And here's the thing: the the dual ejectors on the bolt are very nice. They're very good. I think without an enhanced extractor, especially the way they sent it to me, like I felt when I took that bolt carrier group apart and I saw they had the donut and the plunger and a really shitty spring in there. Like to me, that just screams like no one's going to look at this. So why are we going to do this? Like why are we going to spend the money on it? Where it's like to me, it's like that detail to me when I saw that, I was like, holy crap. And I'll link to the video down below, or maybe I'll put it up in the corner or something like that. But when I saw that they put a really shitty spring in there and they did the plunger and the donut, to me, that just screams like, we didn't give a shit about quality enough. Um, there are a lot cheaper bolt care groups on the market that spend their money wisely on upgrading the parts in a bolt care group. And when I saw that for Chris, you have what, the $200 version? I have the $170 version. I'm spending $170 on a bolt care group. I expect it to have good parts. If it doesn't have good parts, I think it's shit. I personally, and this is my message to KAK, I think that you did a great job at designing this bolt care group. I think your implementation was shit when it came to the internals of that bolt care group. You fucked it hard because now I can't trust the springs for your ejectors. I can't trust your springs for your extractor. I don't trust your rings. Like there's just like that tanked my confidence in that bolt carrier group. When it's like I can go buy a BCM and I know it's built right. I can go buy that one that we found on ARFCOM for like
ARFTAC. Yeah.
ARFTAC. We found that one on there for what, 138, 130. You can even get a Blem one for 115. And they say, they use the upgraded parts kits, and there are people online who can document they took that bolt carrier group apart when they first got it, and it came with all the right shit it was supposed to come with. And to me, I know people are gonna be like, you're attacking KAK. I'm not. I just think that you fucked it, and and you fucked that part up, and I don't like that. And that is my message to KAK. We're a very small, podcast. I understand that, and I could be burning a bridge with KAK, but my confidence for your bolt carrier group went through the fucking floor of how much I trust that. And to me, that means everything because there are a lot of people out there who are touting this bolt carrier group and it fucking blows out of the water. Like it's not that good.
Yeah, it's a big part where they dropped the ball. Yeah, and you're right. I looked it up a little while ago again. Yeah, this BCG, this one is like $240, 239.99. And then, you got to pay for everything else. But I mean, I haven't really, I didn't take it apart like you did. It's the way that I got it, I threw it in there and that's the way that it's going to run.
And I will tell you, it will last. It will last a very long time like that. There's not a problem. But to me, it shows me that you cut corners, and that's what I don't like.
So speaking of cutting corners, one thing, no, it's I still am interested in the bolt carrier because I'm interested in the dual ejector or ejectors, right?
Okay. Well, let me ask you this, Adam. Do you
and the sand
I'll
cuts.
send you the bolt. I'll send you the bolt.
Because I want the sand cuts too. That was the whole cutting corners thing.
Smart.
Yeah.
Very smart.
I feel like I feel like they did a lot of good things. Like they made the sand cutting portions. They put in dual ejectors. I still feel like if they didn't do the lobster tail extractor, I'm like, okay, you put in all this work to do this, but you didn't upgrade this. And then and how they did it, like I feel like you made a good bolt carrier group and then you put a bunch of shitty parts in it. I'm like, is it going to last that long? Like,
maybe I'm getting lost with like the down specking of the springs and all that stuff, but weren't we saying the function of it itself didn't fulfill everybody's expectations though?
I will say it did not. It fulfilled my expectations on a specific rifle. It did not fill my expectations on every other gun I've tried it on so far. But I have not tested everything.
And that raises my question of whether they designed it around a mid-length system or a rifle length system over actually utilizing.
In their videos, they were running like M4 uppers, like carbine length front sight post gas blocks. They were running those on like 14.5s or 16 inches. They were running those and they were saying, "This is amazing. I get no gas to the face." I'm like, fuck you. Like it probably works phenomenal unsuppressed because in most of their videos they have no suppression. Like they're not putting full auto suppressed fire down range. Now I will say they did pay Pew Science, or not pay, but I think they send it over to Pew Science to do the port pop analysis. I think that bolt carrier group, if that's your thing, if you want to eliminate port pop, by all means, I think that would probably be a really, really, really good aspect for that. But in the same token, I don't have as much confidence in the bolt carrier group after getting it in hand as I did before,
Yeah, I understand. So just for giggles, if you click the link that I put into chat for Centurion Arms and
their bolt carrier group.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta look it up because if I click it on here, it'll take me off.
Okay. But long story short, it looks like a KAK, but it just has Centurion's little arrow bullet thing on it. But they want $325 for that thing.
Yeah, so their mil spec one or their chrome one?
The chrome enhanced one. The one that's got the sand cuts, it's got the dual ejectors on there.
Yeah, Rival Defense has it for $325 and it's out of stock.
Well, at Centurion's website, you can buy it. It's available.
Yeah, it has the dual ejectors. I bet you they put in the upgraded spring kit. Like it looks, and it's got the sand cuts. Like it's a good, but it's not down venting, and that's what a lot of people were wanting. If you just want the carrier, C4 carrier is $200.
The down vent thing, that's what let me down. Get it? Come on. Because people were praising it, saying that like the whole port pop thing and gas and all that, and I just did not see any of that. when I used it.
What did you
I
use?
also don't think the Mark II is that good of a charging handle, to be honest. I think
Really?
my original BCM charging handle is a lot better.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, I love it. Like as a lefty, it's been probably one of my best ones.
Yeah. The amount of gas that I just watch pouring out of that thing.
I will
My
say
eyeball.
I will say the RaidWorks charging handle that I have, I get no gas in my face, like whatsoever. I get a lot less gas out of the BCM Mark II than I do out of any of the other, like the Geisley one that I have or anything like that. I get less gas with the BCM Mark II. I will say I don't get no gas to my face, especially shooting it more. Like my initial impressions were a little bit different, but now like shooting it more, I feel a lot better with the BCM Mark II than I do with any of the other charging handles that I have, except for the RaidWorks one.
Yeah. Maybe I'll have to compare. I tried to compare those when I originally got the Mark II, but I think I fucked it up because I lubed the Mark II. So I shot the regular BCM charging handle, suppressed and everything. I shot it, and then I stuck the Mark II in it, and I think it like started cooking off lube or something. Because right when I shot it, you could just see the white cloud come out of it and shit.
Oh,
And I'm like,
shit.
oh, this isn't good.
Yeah,
This
no, yeah.
sucks.
I will say, when I lube my charging handles, I'll put on that layer of lube and then I'll wipe off the excess just so it's just like thinly on there. But that's just me. I mean, it's up
I
to
did not. I did
Yeah.
it right out in the woods and just kind of did it
Yeah,
like a doof.
Exxon
Big-
Valdez just chilling out there.
I don't use those fine tip applicators. I just dump the shit out. Dump it up in this motherfucker.
No, I don't know, but I will say there is something to be said about their phosphate BCG. I really like it. It holds lube really well. It worked really well. Getting it clean, it was better, especially if you have a sonic cleaner. That was amazing. I still need to do a comparison if I just straight up randomly clean a bolt care group like I normally would, and then I slap one into like the sonic cleaner. I want to see if it would do any better like than just cleaning it, because I only threw my bolts and bolt carriers in for 10 minutes heated at 150, and they got really fucking clean. I was actually pleasantly surprised. The one thing I will say when it comes to sonic cleaning, I did not like the fact that I had to rinse everything off afterwards and then dry it. Like that was the one thing I didn't like doing.
That's I didn't even know about that. I haven't looked at anything regarding sonic cleaning because well, you've seen my rifle. I don't ever fucking clean anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's funny because I took my bolt care group out of my 13 on my Sons of Liberty Gunworks one that I have not cleaned in a very long time. And actually I think I cleaned it about 1,000 rounds ago. And I took it out and I threw it in there and I got all the carbon off the back of the bolt. Like it got almost like 90% of that carbon off of there, which I had like little mountains on the back of the bunker. And I was pleasantly surprised with how much it kind of got off all that shit. And I don't know, maybe other people who have sonic cleaners would be like, you don't put your bolt care group in there. Like,
So there is like a life hack to this. JC Hunt and I talked about this probably like a year ago. And you can take your part, so say you have a bolt, and you were also talking about having to drain and clean your tank and everything.
yeah.
So if you take your part, you put a little bit of cleaning solution and some water
In a bag.
your part in the bag and put it in there. And that's probably what I'll end up doing with stuff like that, because I don't want to fucking empty this thing and clean it all the time.
Yeah, I will say that's kind of the biggest annoying thing. But I did see that same life hack, and that's another thing I wanted to try. Is it does it work as well?
I forget who he said. I think it was what's his name? Quick Draw Mac or something.
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
Quick Draw Mac. Yeah,
I think he was the one that was doing that.
yeah. He posted a story about it, and he was like, "If you guys want to do this, like," and I was like, "Ooh!" And then that's what made me look at sonic cleaners. And at the time, Brownells only had those giant industrial sonic cleaners, and
Put the whole rifle in it. Don't even take the optic off.
That's the type of cleaner I need. I can just
Sling
put
on
the
it.
whole thing in there.
It's
Clean
funny in their
silver.
product photo, they had a whole rifle with an optic on it being dipped into the tank, and I was like,
Yeah, bro. It's an EOTech. That'll give you some thermal shift.
Any other topics you guys wanted to cover? Because I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I just kind of wanted to go over some pistol stuff. So, do you guys want to talk about some other stuff? Because I'm really interested in my slide that's coming. I'm hoping that I spent $400 on a fucking slide of my own money. I did sell my other slide to buy that one, but I spent my own money on it. And I was curious, like, what did you guys like? Are there any slides like for guns that you guys are interested in? Millar, I know you have his Fury Precision slide.
I have two. I have their 34, I have their 19, and then the Brownell slides that you brought up are on closeout. I have two 19s, a 17, a 34, a 26. Those slides are nice. Definitely worth snatching one up before you can't get one. The prices have been pretty ridiculous as of late.
Their 19 window cut slide is like $100, isn't it?
I haven't looked in a little bit, but when I had looked last, they were a steal. Can you get the ported barrels alone now? Because before
Yes.
they were.
Yes, I bought two of them. I have two ported barrels.
Yeah, it might be worth me snagging one of those because again, I have multiple. Pretty sure I have two of those if I recall correct.
It doesn't look like they have. They have the 34 iron sight slide for 139. They have a 17 Gen 4 slide for $99. They have a 17 Gen 3 for 79. I mean, that's a fucking smoking deal on a slide. They have the Delta Point Pro. If you're running a Delta Point Pro for the 17 Gen 3, $119. The long slide, the 19 long slide Gen 3 is $100 right now, I believe. If you buy it with you can even get the RMR. You can get it with the RMR 407C cut sight capability for $99 right now for their 19 long slide. But I think you have to have their long barrel for that.
You know what else is?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna say the other deals that are like, I don't know if you've been following because you were like, I know you're big on or we're big on like the KE Arms stuff, but they've got some crazy ass deals on KE Arms.
There was a big falling out with Brownells and KE Arms over some shit that Carl said on AR-15. Like the whole gun industry didn't like. Now look, I'll go ahead and say this. I know Russell Fagan. I've never met Carl Casada. A lot of people think that he's like the devil because he doesn't hate trans people. And he's like, he's a very inclusive person. So, like he's the type of guy to ask you your pronouns and do shit like that. I don't hate the guy. I've got no ill will towards the dude or anything like that. I think that he defended himself on a platform, and I think the internet decided to rival against Brownells to get them to cut ties with him, which in turn fucked up some business for KE Arms. I have not talked to Russell personally about any of this stuff. Other than the fact I got on a phone call and I was like, hey dude, there was a thing that happened a while ago with using the code triggered. We were putting out using the code triggered. I reached out to another podcast that they were on and they were saying, oh, you can buy these KP15 lowers for like $80 if you use the code triggered. And they were thinking that Brownells made that code. They were thinking that Brownells had made that code as like, oh, KE Arms got triggered. No, Brownells made that code for Triggered Dad. And he's one of the guys that we work with. And we were the ones, people got mad at me for stating, use the code Triggered to save money on this stuff. that code is for our friend. By the way, I reached out to that podcast. I told them to call me. They said they were going to call me. That podcast never called me. I think that podcast kind of, it is what it is. I have no ill will towards them, but I did tell them to give me a call. They never reached back out. They never wanted to say any words to me, and I'm fine with that. But I did not like the lie being propagated that Brownells made the code triggered to specifically get these lowers for like $80. That wasn't on Brownells. Brownells didn't do that. That code is legitimately for our friend Triggered Dad. That's his code over at Brownells. So just so everybody's aware.
Well, yeah, I didn't know the whole backstory on that, but there's some crazy ass prices, especially on the AR9 lowers. I know you don't care for those, but their KE9 with like standard mil spec parts was regularly $400. It's $150.
Yeah, no, they're on crazy closeout because Brownells just wants to get rid of them. Like you'll notice that some of their like a lot of the KE Arms products, like when they go out of stock, they're no longer available, and then like 2 weeks later they just disappear off the site because Brownells has cut ties with KE Arms, and I completely understand the business decision that Brownells made, and I completely understand the business decision that KE Arms made, especially standing like Russell and Carl are friends, and I will never stand in between that. They're two really great people. Again, I don't know Carl, but I do know Russell. And I'm just going to go ahead and state I don't think that Russell is a bad guy, nor is he sitting out there trying to do anything nefarious or mean. But I think a lot of the gun industry is very conservative, like hard right type people. Millar, we've had our intellectual arguments off air about that. But I will state, I personally understand where Brownells wanted to cut their ties, and I understand where KE Arms is like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, but it is what it is. And I can't do anything about it. I'm nowhere near the type of individual who can save that brand deal.
Yeah. I mean, the prices, if you're looking for AR9s, though, this is a pretty ridiculous.
I would say avoid AR9s at all costs. They're disgusting and garbage.
The stripped lower is $150. The complete lower with mil-spec parts is the exact same price as the stripped. And then if you get the upgraded trigger, that KE Arms trigger, it's only $200. That's regularly a $640 complete lower. This is really tempting. Like I could order one.
I will tell you if you want it. I think it's a good deal. For an AR9, if I was ever going to buy an AR9, which I wouldn't, the one that I had was the KE Arms. They sent me out the KP9. They sent it out. They wanted me to review it. I said, all right, I'll review it. And I said in the video, I think that this thing is not my jam, but here's what I think you would like about it. Takes Glock mags. It shoots, does what it's supposed to do. KE Arms has a lot of stuff on their website. If you're going to buy one, KE Arms has a lot of stuff on their website. They'll tell you like, hey, run an 8-ounce buffer, run an orange spring with it, do all this stuff. I put a lot of money into building that gun, and I ended up sending it back to KE Arms for them to do a giveaway because I was like, I'm never gonna run this fucking. It's gonna sit in the back of my safe, and I don't even care about it. Like,
wait, is this ambi?
Yeah, it can be.
Wow, I just noticed that it had the other paddle on the left side of the lower.
It does. Yeah, that's KE Arms thing. You can run it with a Troy and a forward control designs too, if you really want to.
Oh, wow.
I did a ton of content with this on my previous venture on YouTube.
Yeah, the price is
on Rumble and Player, if anybody wants to know. I will post links to all that down below.
Also, real quick, I'm going to bed.
Oh, you old fart. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty much ready to pass out too. But the this thing is that's tempting for that price with how is that trigger?
Which one? The SLT2?
Let me see if it has details. I just know it's the KE Arms one.
So they have the DMR, they have the SLT1 and the SLT2. The SLT1 and 2 are the same. I, in fact, have an SLT2 with the upgraded spring that they have. I bought that off their website. Paid my own money for it. KE Arms did send me the SLT2 free of charge. I think it's a good trigger. I don't love cassette style triggers, but their trigger is probably one of the best. If I were going to go with a cassette style trigger, I probably wouldn't get any other trigger besides that one.
I do not see like reading, giving a quick
Can you
skim
send me the
through.
link on the Instagram thing and I will tell you which one it is?
Yeah, because it actually in the description it calls out both triggers that you could finish your build with either. And it's like, okay, but it has one of them on this. Like Brownells isn't customizing this for you.
It's the KE9?
Yeah. I doubt it's the box trigger.
Well, are you doing the KE9 billet lower?
That's the one that they have. Yeah, I just sent it over in the group.
Yeah, you're doing the billet lower. That's just their mil spec trigger. Yeah, that's just their standard mil spec trigger.
Not on this one. The mil spec one is the $150 one. The $200 one has the other trigger.
Oh, that's their SLT2 trigger. I can tell by the ribbing on the back of it.
That's yeah, that was I had a feeling that was gonna be
Sorry,
the giveaway.
SLT1. SLT2 is a straight bow. SLT1 is a curve bow.
Isn't that trigger like $100 alone?
Trigger is 250.
Just the trigger?
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit.
Yeah, you can buy their complete SLT1 AR9 lower for the same price you can buy their stripped. That's not terrible.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. And then that grip looks like it's one of those ones you might be able to adjust the angle on.
Yeah, they did that for a while. I don't know if those are the ones that are going to be selling on Brownells, but I know they did that for a while. It is the ugliest fucking grip I've ever seen.
I will say it is pretty ugly. I will give
If
it
you
that.
want, if you want a stripped AR-15 upper receiver, $69 on Brownells. They're not bad whatsoever. Like that's a good price.
I just have this itch, this AR9 itch right now that this could scratch it.
I to be honest, I will not lie. I do not get AR9s. I've every time I've ever ran one, I hated it. But again, it's not my cup of tea. So
They also have those the billet lowers with the massive flared magwell.
yeah, for 150.
200 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Did it go down to 150 at one point?
No, you had it. You had it right. It was 200.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I was about to say, so wait for a little bit until it goes on sale. Yeah, I mean there's some pretty solid prices on there for those. But yeah, I don't know.
There was a lot of drama with it. I know K Yarm says that they don't want people to buy the stuff off of Brownells. Now Brownells is a show sponsor, and again, I'm not getting in the middle of any of this. You do whatever the hell you want to do. I'm in Switzerland compared to everybody else.
I mean, kind of like you were saying earlier, like people are going to follow the deals. We're going to direct people to the deals, whether it's, Brownells, our show sponsor, or whether it's elsewhere. So,
Well, yeah, I mean, I've told people before, like, look, check the links. Like, yeah, I do use a lot of Brownells links. I'm going to tell people right now, I think you get a better bang for your buck when you buy a product from Brownells. Specifically, yeah, it may cost a little bit more, but they have a forever satisfaction guarantee. If you buy a product from Brownells and it sucks, you don't like it for any reason, you can return it. You don't even have to have a reason. You can just be like, hey, didn't want it. They will return it. They will give you your money back. It may be on a gift card, but they will give you your money back.
Exactly. I mean, I think that is a great part of buying through them.
Mm-hmm. I will say if it's over 60 days or 90 days, it will go on a gift card. Like you will have to spend the money at Brownells, unless you like maybe you have to call and argue with them or something. But they will give you your money back pretty much. Other than that, I've got nothing else to say after that one. Adam, did you want to give the people since Millar wants to go to bed? Did you want to stay up a little bit later or no? We can give them an exclusive look at our after hours, especially on the YouTubes.
It's up to you. Sure.
I'm down. You
It's
know me.
only 11. The clock just struck 11 o'clock.
It's 11. It's 10:01 here, so we're good to go.
Right.
Well, I don't know if you wanted to head out, Millar, but we're going to do our inaugural after-hour show. Hopefully, one of these days we'll do this one live on YouTube at like 1 a.m. We'll see the 4 people who fucking tune into that
one. Yeah, I'll let you guys. I'll let you guys carry on. I'm gonna go pass out, but run suppressed, and I'll catch you guys later.
Sweet,
run
man.
Suppressed. Stay blessed. I
a good
completely butchered that. I'm so tired.
You are sleepy old man. So go to bed, Sleepy Joe.
All right, I'll catch you later. Bye.
Dude, I'm excited for my acro direct mount slide. I'm a little peeved that I had to spend $400 on it, but yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be something.
Do you not like it?
It's gonna be something.
You don't like it?
I don't know yet. I gotta see it.
I mean, I do want your honest opinion. Like, what do you think about like aftermarket slides?
I don't have any problem with the aftermarket slides at all.
Like, do you have any issue with Zephyri or anything?
No, no. I've never owned one of their slides. Oh, you're talking about that one. Okay. I thought we were talking about the 43 slide for the acro.
The one that I got sent from Rabbi.
I don't remember. Whichever one was the 43, but you could put an acro on it.
Oh, my friend won that in a giveaway, and I want to try that one. But
I thought that's what you were talking about for some reason. No, that slide should be fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 19 Gen 3 slide that I bought from Zephyri, and it will direct mount my acro because that's really what I want to do. I really want to just direct mount my acro to a slide because I'm going to be 100% honest. That's going to be my gun. Like if SHTF were to happen, that would probably be the Glock that I take with me because I can conceal it if need be because I have a concealable holster for the 19 and the 17 with the X300, so it could be technically concealable, and I have concealed with the 19 before. But I also like if I'm going to be in SHTF or without rule of law or whatever people want to say, I think that would probably be my go-to setup, like my Zev OZ9 grip with the 17 length, and that slide I think would probably be my best friend.
Yeah, you got to have a good gun for someone hurt the farm situations.
What do you think about those? Let's throw some shade, man. What do you think about what do you think about those YouTubers who are out there just, like Magic Prepper and those guys? Like, I don't hate them at all, but I think a lot of what they do is fearmonger.
Yeah, for sure. I do think there is some value though in a lot of the prepping channels because they do show you some cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I always have a hard time remembering that a lot of people didn't grow up like the same way I did, like always outside, literally like dressing deer at like 6. Like people don't do that their whole lives. And I always have to remember that there are people that like if you dropped them in the woods, they would probably die. Like
yeah. I mean, I'm probably one of those people. I will go ahead and state like I didn't. I went bird hunting as a kid. We hunt dove and quail, and I remember making that stuff. But I remember my first time deer hunting. Actually, it wasn't deer hunting; it was elk hunting. I went with a friend of mine, and we didn't get it. Yeah, so it's just fucking big deer. Dude. Okay, so my first time here's my one and only hunting story for everybody. My first time I went elk hunting, I knew about as much as about a 4-year-old who grows up in New York City about hunting. I've never, ever been fucking hunting. Like I've been bird hunting as a kid, but I've never been like big game or game hunting or anything like that. Nothing for deer, elk, anything like that. Go with my buddy. We go out into the mountains in Montana. We went out there. We were having fun. He had a tag. I didn't have a tag, but at the time you could, if you had a tag, anybody in your party could use the tag. So that was cool. They changed the law since then from what I've heard. But at the time, this is back in 2010, you do that. I heard a elk do their bugle. Yeah, their bugle. Dude, I almost shit myself. Thing was probably 100 yards away. It sounded like it was in my fucking ear. I remember hearing that, and I just got goosebumps everywhere. My buddy's like, "Oh, dude, we're close," and I was like, "Close to what? The fucking Windigoon? Like, what the fuck?" I'm like, we close to death because this is what it feels like. And I remember him saying, like, dude, if you miss your shot, you don't get another one, and hopefully they're not close enough to find you. Like, and I was like, oh shit, like, so he was scaring the shit out of me. Come to find out after the trip, they don't come after you. But he dropped his rifle. So he wanted to take the shot on the elk. We're about 180, 150 yards away from the elk. Not a bad shot. Dropped his rifle, fucking fucked up his zero on his shitty Leupold 3-9. And dude, he must have hit the hairs on the back of that fucking elk. There was a tree right behind him. That bullet sailed right over his fucking shoulders.
That's like an amazing elk shot too.
Yeah.
A lot of them, they'll shoot them things at like 600 yards.
Oh yeah, no, dude, we were there for 4 days.
Yeah.
We're out there for 4 days.
A lot of them guys, they really gotta send out a pretty far poke a lot of the times. So like 180, that's a good. That sucks that he dropped that.
And I was like, I told him, I said, well, here, take my rifle. We know I haven't dropped it, like, and he's like, no, this is my rifle. Like, I want to take, and I'm like, dude,
this is my rifle.
Yeah, like, this is my rifle. I want to take it, blah, blah, blah. Like, my grandfather gave me this gun, all that stuff. And I felt for him, dude. When he shot, like, we were sitting there and I was like, dude, you're good. Like, you have the shot. There's no fucking wind, 180 yards. Like, dude, this thing was huge. And he was like, dude, I haven't seen an elk this big since I was a kid. And I just remember, like, dude, I remember him, how he looked after that would be like the same way if you were to walk in on your wife being cheated on, like that I feel like that was his, like, just devastating moment in life,
Yeah, no, that would suck. Because I know a lot goes into that, and even the fact that you guys missed half of elk hunting at that point because you didn't take one. The whole quartering it and like backpacking it out and all that shit. Like, that's part of it. I've never went elk hunting. I've always wanted to. There is a pretty decent elk population in Michigan, but I've never seen one.
Where are they?
They're up north.
Oh yeah, far. You're not up north, right? You're like in the middle.
I'm right in the center of Michigan.
Yeah. But you've been deer hunting a lot, right?
Literally since I was like 4.
I've never been deer hunting. I want to go.
Easy. I know I've said it before a long time ago, but like, literally deer hunting in Michigan, like whitetail deer hunting, is you either go sit in a tree stand or you go sit in a box and you just wait till a good deer walks in front of you. Like,
see, I feel like because I've never been, I'd be the guy that like shoot the doe or some shit,
There's no problems at all shooting does. I mean, a lot of people shoot. A lot of people in Michigan hunt deer to eat.
Yeah.
The rest of the year. Like, that is like normal. Like, that's how I grew up. I've always been, I've shot my fair share of does. That's why I don't shoot a whole lot of them anymore. But I've let so many bucks walk, and it's just me being like a little like petty bitch, like, it's not big enough. And then I'll hear like dad bang off a 30-06 like 15 minutes later.
Well, I have that 350 Legend. I feel like I could make a good I could put my 3 to 15 on there and we could have some fun with that.
Yeah. And that's, a lot of people in Michigan are using 350 Legend and 450 Bushmaster and stuff.
Good. Maybe when I get done hunting, I could sell it.
Good. Definitely good. Because the way that they cut it up, I never had to deal with this because like my family's farm is pretty far north. But the way Michigan is cut up, there's like shotgun zone and then there's rifle zone. And it makes sense, but at the same time, it's like, go fuck yourself. Like, take your laws and go fuck yourself type of thing. But I'm like right on the cusp of the shotgun zone. So that's why I have like the BRN like 180 and 350. Is that 350? Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
350.
350 Legend.
Same with like I've got a Ruger American and 450 and stuff, and it's for that reason. But like my entire life, I grew up shooting center fire 250 Savage. Like that was my go-to,
Oh, really?
which is I think it's the optimal deer hunting round. It's not huge. It's a small, easy, fast, extremely fast, 3,000 feet per second, which
Oh,
I
so
guess,
it's like 22 250.
yeah, it's not extremely fast anymore, but at the time it was. It's an old round.
Have you seen some of those dudes pushing like 4,000 feet per second with some 55 grain projectiles at a 22 250?
Yeah, I believe it.
Oh,
You ever heard one?
they're fucking loud.
Well, they're weird. They sound weird because like you can hear how fast they are. Like you hear like a weird like whoop after like
Really?
after you shoot. It's weird.
I
Yeah,
shot
I
a 22 250 a while ago. That was a good dude. That round is like a fucking laser beam. But
yeah,
once
they're
it
cool.
catches wind, on those like 45 50 grain projectiles, once it catches wind, dude, that fucking bullet is gone.
Yeah. The cool thing is Griffin Recce 5 rated up to 22 250.
Oh, there you go. Go get a mount for your 22 250.
Yeah, that'd be I had a buddy that had one and we were out coyote hunting one time and all of our sets were like junk. We did hardly even heard any coyotes. And I was like, "Oh, bang that thing off into the berm over there. Like, let's hear it." And in the dead of the night and you shoot a 22 250, it is the weirdest sounding round. Like I'm telling you, it is weird. And I know somebody listening has heard one and they know what I'm talking about, but it's like some weird like alien shit when you hear it.
Yeah, no, I've never messed with I've only shot it like I think I shot like 2 rounds for 22 250. No fucking recoil on that gun.
And it depends where you are too, because like my dad picked one up a couple months ago and I zeroed it and everything for him since I can just zero it here
Mm-hmm.
and he can't do that where he's at. Um, and I didn't notice it here, like shooting in the woods. Maybe it's because I was shooting it. Maybe it's because I wasn't like bystanding. I didn't hear it.
Yeah, you weren't
Uh,
standing like next to it. Like
yeah,
what you should do is you should get your 27 would you say 270
250.
250 Savage, is that a 25 caliber?
Yes. Yeah, it'd have to be
So
250.
it's too big for your
Correct.
5.6 can. Well, you should have got the 30K or the 30.
And Recce 7.
No, the Reiki 7, yeah.
Yep. But I don't know. It's cool. What you buy a dirt bike yet?
No. I'm gonna buy a K truck before I buy a dirt bike.
K trucks are sick.
Oh, dude, I am so fucking excited for a K truck.
There's a guy down the road that's got one, and I see him out like doing chores on his property with it all the time. I'm
Oh
like,
well,
"This
here they're street legal.
shit." Yeah, yeah. He doesn't even have it plated. He just has because he's obviously using it for like farm use or something. So he's
Mhm.
just got the orange triangle on it. He'll drive it right down the highway.
Yeah, no, I really want a K truck. I want the K van technically because I want to be able to so the cool part about some of those vans is you can turn the seats around and like rebolt them down. And I want to be able to do that and then slap a tripod in the back, like an Arca rail or some shit, and then just be able to shoot out of the back of my limo tinted van in air conditioning in the summer in Texas. I feel like that would be dope.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
They don't really, I mean, they don't cost a whole lot.
No, the ones I've been looking at are anywhere from 4 to 6 grand, and they have 20, maybe 15,000 miles on them. And they're all in kilometers, and like their speedos are in kilometers. They're all right hand drive. I've been looking at all of them, dude. Dude, you have no idea. I can't wait to like go through a fucking like drive through and have to like scoot over to the other side. Like,
Well, and it's so funny because like when you actually like dive into them and they're like, what motor's that got? Well, it's got a 660 cc motor in it. And they're
yeah, like, well, see, here's the thing. I grew up working on dirt bikes. Like
yeah,
working on dirt bikes and quads, that was the only thing I ever worked on as a kid. I never worked on cars. My dad and I we did not see eye to eye. So his dream of me being working on cars with him was shot to hell every time he'd fucking scream at me. But nobody yelled at me when I worked on dirt bikes, so that was my passion. And I grew up, dude. I mean, my YZ450, man, I had that thing tuned. I had my YZ250 two stroke, man. I loved rebuilding the top end on that. I think I loved working on that bike more than I enjoyed riding it, because like every time we come back, I'm always fucking with something, like. And that's just, why don't you have a two stroke, man? You grew up on two strokes. Why don't you have a two stroke?
I will in the spring. I will.
In the spring? Why not now?
Because I got to finish paying my side by side off.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. I can see that.
I'm probably going to end up, see, I'm very torn. So actually just today, I did all the AMA and District 14 stuff, and we will be racing the D14 hare scrambles and probably the Michigan Enduro sprints.
Oh,
next year.
Oh my God, dude, you're bringing back high school to me. I used to run that shit all the time.
I'm going to finish off this year. There's only three left. I can't make the first one coming up, but the other two I can do. And there's actually one of the Enduro sprints is this weekend, and I'm trying to get Buddy to go with me. I'm going to try to do that one this weekend.
Are there not as many fires out there in Michigan right now? What's going on? I feel like you're not out fighting fires all the time.
Dude, we ain't doing shit.
Really?
We got a call today for a how did it come in? It came in as disabled person in a motorized wheelchair stuck in the dirt. That was what the call came. And I looked at it. I was at work and I was like, what a fucking joke. I put all this time and money into fucking being the best I can, and this is the call we get.
Well, I mean, dude, I like when it comes to the dirt bike stuff and all that, I was like, I feel like you have a lot of extra time on your hands, because I don't see you out fighting fires anymore. Like, did all the meth labs burn down or?
Pretty much, yeah.
Damn, that's crazy. That sucks.
It sucks, but yeah. But yeah, no, I'm gonna finish off this year, and then I'm very torn on if I want to do a 2025 YZ250FX or
with the light kit pre-installed, or no?
No, that's the WR. I want to do the YZ because the YZ has launch control. And what does it have that the WR doesn't? I know it has launch control. I think the WR also has on the fly engine mapping, so you can switch between it. And I believe they both have traction control. And
it has been so long since I've been into motorcycles, because none of that shit was on the bikes when I grew up.
Right. Well, and that's how I feel. And the only reason I'm even kind of shying away from a two-stroke, even though like that is like the bike I have now is the first four-stroke I ever had. So like two-stroke is life to me.
Oh yeah.
And but the only reason I'm kind of shying away from it is because I like the Yamahas, and their two-strokes don't have electric start.
There's nothing better than kicking over a two-stroke.
Yeah, that gets old. That gets old when you're trying to do like a slightly hard trail and you're like fucking leaned over on a hill.
Oh yeah. Oh, just go down it and bump it.
Yeah, I'll just roll the fucking thing down it and walk down.
Yeah, I remember one time we were at Ocotillo Wells, and there's this big fucking mountain out there next to pole line, and I did the hill climb, no problem. I did it once, and I was like, oh man, that wasn't too bad. And I went up to go do it again, and I was like, oh fuck, and I got halfway up, and I didn't downshift at the right time, and I stalled it out, and I'm like looking down this hill, and it, when you're at the bottom of a hill looking up a hill, it doesn't look that bad. But when you're on that fucking hill, you're like, God, fuck. And I remember distinctly going, well, this is going to fucking hurt. And I somehow finagled that fucking bike like just right, and I got it to go down. And I remember I was in, I think I was in third gear, and I was able to bump it going downhill. And, and like there's a whoop section at the bottom before you go up the hill, because everybody and their mom, they, it just whoops out after a while. And I remember, dude, I came down there and I was flying, and I didn't even, you couldn't see the whoop section as well from the other side. You could see it really well coming from that way. I just wasn't paying attention. And dude, I remember I went off one of those whoops and I fucking cased it. And I came down and I felt like I literally sent my balls into my throat. I was like, oh, I remember I laid the bike over and my buddy comes over and he's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, oh my God, everything. I was like, I think I want to throw up. Like I was on the ground. I'm like crying. I'm like, this fucking hurts so bad.
You just stayed in the gas and skimmed the whoops.
Yeah, I should have, but that's the thing. I didn't really see it until it was way too late. And I was like, oh.
It makes sense because they're cut from the other way. So,
And I remember when I was a kid, I used to go riding with a group of people, and I'd taken one of my buddies who I'd met in high school, and we joined the army together. And we used to go out, and he used to think I was fucking crazy. And I'm like, dude, this is just what people do, you know? But he was kind of a pussy on a motorcycle. And I remember all the time he was like, dude, you do like the dumbest, craziest shit. And I'm like, no, dude, you just do, like, you have fun. I've been doing this for 10 years, man. Like I know nothing else. Like I was riding motorcycles before I ever touched a fucking car, you know? So like, and that's just how I kind of felt about the whole thing. But he, you know, for his first time being on a motorcycle, he's 17 years old, you know, doesn't fucking know any better. So
yeah. And no, like you said about looking up a hill, it not being bad. That's exactly how I feel about using a GoPro riding.
Yeah, you were saying, like, yeah, guys who know how to ride and know, like, you know, that's probably a pretty gnarly hill. Like, yeah, on a GoPro, it doesn't look like shit. You know,
Yeah.
It looks like you're going over a fucking hill. You know, like a tiny little grassy knoll. But yeah, no, I could very well see in some of those ones that you put out. I was like, oh shit, that's a pretty gnarly little trail. You know.
Well, even like the fucking boulders and shit. Even like the rocks look smaller in the video. I'm like, this is fucking lame, dude.
Like, why is it so compressed? This is bullshit.
You guys don't understand how out of breath and sweaty I was during.
Oh, dude, I used to get that all the time in high school. I would get girls who'd be like, it's not that hard to just twist the gas and go. Like, and I'm like, you dumb bitch. Like, I'd be so offended, and they'd be like, "Oh, your manhood is." I'm like, "No, mother, I'm out there fucking working my ass off on that motorcycle, and you're like, it's not that fucking hard."
Especially like on my bike, they're kind of known for like the triple clamp setups being very easy to tweak. So like if I even just like get into some deep sand and kind of lay it down, all day after that front end is just a little bit off. So like you're fucking working to keep the thing on the trail and everything.
Yeah, I do remember there was a guy I knew that had a 426, and he had a steering stabilizer on his.
Yeah,
and but that was the thing though. He liked it up until if he tweaked his front end, he felt like his bars were off. He was like, I feel like they're like out of alignment by a couple degrees and it feels weird. But even his steering stabilizer, he was like, this thing is a godsend at speed. Because, dude, we'd hit pole line. Dude, we could hit pole line and just do 6-gear pinned. You know, just fucking pin. You could hit that thing, and then you could come up and you could do some pretty sailing jumps on fucking pole line. And it was awesome at Ocotillo Wells. I think since then it's been pretty fucking washed out and bad. But like if you were out there, I mean, dude, for miles, you could just ride this fucking trail, just fucking smashing. And I remember like he had some pretty sketchy fucking times on his 426. Like my 450F, I never needed a steering stabilizer. I had that thing 6-gear pin. My ass scooted all the way back to the back of the seat, tucked in, just fucking flying. You know, I was like. And you're gripping. You're like, do I have another gear? Like, I feel like I have another gear here.
That's another thing that kills me about the 426 is it's a 5-speed.
Oh yeah, it's 1 down 4 up.
Yeah, and but that's how a lot of the trails here are. Most of them are very sandy, so you have to hit them hard.
Well, the 426 is geared wide, isn't it? Your first gear is probably twice as long as like a YZ 450.
Mm, I don't know. I don't know between.
Because I remember the 426 was specifically designed to be a trail bike.
Well, the WR, I don't know if they have the same gearing or not. Because mine's a YZF, and then the WR 426, I don't know if that had a wide range like ratio or not.
You know what?
I
I think you
know,
might be right because the WR did stand for wide range.
yeah, that makes sense. I
Because
know,
the 300 XC and XCW, the difference was the gearing.
yeah, yeah.
So,
So my buddy's got a 525. Um, what was his or what is his? I don't remember which KTM it is, but it's a 525 and it's a 6 speed. And I know for him, it's like when we're hitting trails, if I'm in third gear, he'll be in second gear.
mhm.
So he's always one gear behind me. I
Okay.
don't know how. It also kind of sucks on the road too, because he'll be in sixth gear, just like putting, and I'll be in fifth gear, starting to kind of like wind out a little bit. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey,
And
back
you're
it
like, what the
down a
fuck?
little. Come on.
Do you change your sprocket, your rear sprocket, or no?
No, it's still got a 49 on it.
You should probably look at getting a smaller one.
I thought about it,
If you
but
want more top end, you should look at getting a smaller one.
yeah. So the way that it's set up right now, it's just so good, and it makes sense because that's what they came with. Um, it's so good in the trails and like on
On the road.
larger dirt, like larger ORV trails, which are essentially dirt roads. It's just so good at both
Hmm.
that I don't really want to fuck with it too much.
I'd say you could probably go about 2 or 3 teeth down, and you probably wouldn't lose too much. You have a 49. I think you could probably go 45.
I
Oh,
could
no, wait,
probably,
is yours? I think you have to be, if you're on a 49, you have to stay an odd number. So yeah, 45 should be good.
and I have an extra, I have an 18-inch wheel from the WR that I need to throw a tire on. And I was gonna change the sprocket on that. Well, it doesn't have a sprocket on that wheel.
Mm.
So what I'm getting at is I was gonna change from a 49 on that setup. That way I could have something different.
Yeah, you can just swap them out. Yeah, because
Yeah,
at that point you're just pulling off the rear axle, slapping a new one on. It's not that.
right. But then fucking chains and God, all this shit so expensive.
I will say, what year is your 426?
2002.
Oh, okay. I remember the '06s. They had really bad A frames for the rear tire. That A frame in there, that thing was always like bending and cracking. So might want to look for that on your A frame. But I thought you were gonna say '06s because I was looking on some forums about them. I thought you said you had an '06, and I think I fucked that up.
I think I don't know. I don't remember if those were 450s or if they were still 426s. I
The
don't know.
the '06 I thought was the last year of the 426
I don't remember.
because I wanted an '06, um, but then they didn't make it. Maybe.
I try not to be a 426 aficionado just because I don't really, I mean, the bike's fine and it's actually pretty good at everything, but at the same time, like I would just rather have like a new 250.
Oh yeah. Well, I think you'd get a pretty good 250. Like YZ 250s. Those are, dude. I just nothing beats just fucking just that. Like I love that for some reason.
So, and the thing that kills me though is like, so the YZ 250 doesn't have anything. It's still like it has all the same features that a
Oh,
19.
the 426 was discontinued in '03.
Okay.
So I was
I
completely
think they
wrong.
went to 450 then
Yeah, they went to the 450.
or 400. I don't know. They made
No,
so
the
many
400 was Honda. Honda did the 400, the XR 400.
the but the problem I'm having, if I get a two-stroke, it won't be a Yamaha, which sucks because I like Yamahas, but it'll end up being like a KTM or a Husqvarna or something.
May I ask why?
Electric start.
No, Yamaha doesn't have a single one that has electric start.
They don't have any two strokes with electric start.
I mean, dude, if you can't kick it, you don't deserve it.
I kick a 426 all the time. No, the reason I want the electric start so bad is like the hair scrambles. Those you start from a dead engine.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're lined up with a bunch of people with electric start.
That was the reason why I would tweak my carb settings so much, is because like whatever elevation we were at, like I wanted it to go first kick every time. Like the cool part about them though is you can warm them. You can warm them up.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like when we do these last couple for the year, I will for sure have that thing warmed up because I will not be sitting on that line kicking it. And those, did your 450 have a decompression lever?
It had a hot start lever, so if it was hot, you could decompress it, but it was the same thing.
So the 426 has a lever on the bars right under the clutch.
Oh yeah, mine was right over the clutch.
That fucking thing, like you cannot kick that over unless you decompress it. Like
yeah, that has to do with the valves though.
Yeah, well, and it's good, really, because that means you don't have like leak down or anything. Like,
yeah.
But and the 426 is such, I don't know if like the 450s were like this, but you have to have that piston top dead center decompressed, or that bike will not start. It'll fire first kick if you do it correctly. But if like my buddy hopped on it because I wanted him to ride it in the sand trails, and if you don't do it correctly, you'll sit there and kick that thing over all day long and it won't start.
Oh, really?
Like there is such a like what's the word I'm looking for? Like you have to do it that way. If you don't do it that way, it will not start.
I had an annoying fucking time. I had a CRF. This is what made me hate Hondas. I had a CRF 150F. I think it was an 04, 05. I had that. No, it was an 02. I got it when I was 12. I had that, and that motorcycle made me hate Honda so much because I could kick my 85 like nobody's business, dude. I could go out, give it a couple twists of the throttle, hit that choke, you freaking get it started, you slam that choke off, and you just rip, just blap, blap, you just keep blapping it. Dude, I went to that 150F because my mom got tired of me mixing two-stroke and buying two-stroke oil. And so she got tired of all that, and then she made me get a four-stroke. And I remember I hated that bike. Like I had a lot of fun on it. I bought a pro circuit pipe for it. Like, dude, I did a lot of construction like work. Like when I was a kid, we know a guy that built our house, and he always needed kids to go out and like clean up the site. And I'd work for $10 an hour, and I remember saving up all my fucking pennies to get a pro circuit pipe for that thing. And I had so much fun with that thing. Like yeah, I had a good time with the bike. But when I first got it, I fucking hated it because I remember to start that fucking thing took me 20 minutes. Like I was like, this is the stupidest fucking thing ever. I mean, I would have the choke down, you'd be kicking it, and then you twist throttle a little bit, you kick it, and then the carb would get too saturated, so you got to turn the choke off, turn the fuel off. Dude, I remember like, and then one day I went out and I remember it just started starting. Like it was like 6 years later, the fucking thing just started like actually starting. And I was like, this thing is so fucking stupid. I hate this goddamn thing. I love the bike, but at the same time, like I had so many issues with it. And it was air cooled. It was really fucking heavy. And then I bought my 250. I love that thing, dude. When I got my YZ 250, I bought another pro circuit pipe. Like I was, dude. And then I joined the army. I got my enlistment bonus, and I straight up just bought that YZ 450F right off the showroom floor. Like that thing was awesome.
Yeah. That's a lot of it too, is I really don't want to buy anybody's fucking clapped out two-stroke here. Like if I buy one, I'm just gonna walk into like the KTM Husky dealer and just be
I
like, "Yep, I'm
I
taking this."
personally think that you should get the 300 XCW if you're going to go that route.
I'll
Huskies
probably end
are
up with a
great.
300.
Huskies are great though. Like I've heard so many good things about those Husky 300s, those two strokes, man. And oh god, they sound so billowy. They sound like if you were to have a four stroke that sounded like a two stroke, that's what it sounded like. And I love that.
And well, and this even shows you how far things have come. Uh, I don't know if it's all of them, but a lot of the Husky two strokes have oil injection, so you don't premix. So they
Mm.
have their own like injection oil tank.
Wow. So do you remember the old Blaster 200s?
Yes. Oh yes.
So yeah, my buddy had a Blaster 200, man. He loved that thing, and he could just pour his two-stroke oil in one thing and then pour his gas in the other. And I remember his two-stroke oil lasted for fucking ever. Like,
Well, that's how the PW50s are.
really?
Had oil injection right up on behind the front plate.
Is it
Get a
a
little,
two-stroke?
yeah.
Oh man, every PW50 I've ever seen is a little four-stroke.
They sound like four strokes. All PW50s are two strokes.
Real? I've never owned one, so I don't know.
Yeah, but that oil injection system that'll go bad, and then you just end up premixing.
Yeah.
So that's all I do. Like with the kids, I premix it with the good old clots, and it just brings me right back to being a kid every time I smell that thing.
Mm,
Especially like when I rip it, I'll fucking wind that thing out, and I'll be like doing laps, go right through the barn and everything,
really?
and then shut it off, and just the smell of it. And people know when you smell that Klotz two-stroke oil. Oh my God, it's so good.
Dude, you want to know what I loved the most? So my 85, I had a CR 85. I love that thing. But dude, that thing would rip, just 10-year-old me just ripping around on a fucking CR 85. Just rap, rap, and I weighed nothing. So a CR 85, I don't think I hit 100 pounds till I was 12 years old. You wouldn't know now looking at me, but back then, um, and I remember, dude, that thing I thought that was the fastest bike on earth, dude. Like I had so much fun on that thing. And I remember when I got my 150, I felt like I was so slow, because I'm like, oh God, this four stroke. But I remember we would go race down this road up in Apple Valley, and my buddy had a KX80, and I had my CRF 150, and he was like, "Oh, four strokes, blue," and he's like, and I'm like, "Dude, I missed my 85. Like, fuck off." And I remember we go rip down that road, and he would get ahead of me, but then I would slowly pull up on him, like
Yeah.
it's like if we were going, like I'd slowly pass him, and it was always so fun. I just remember that.
That's what I had. I never had I never had like 65 or 85s. I went from the PW50 to a KX80.
Okay.
And I never had like the small frame, like a 65 or like an 85.
Yeah.
I always had the big fucking like old like 90s KX80. It was like a 125 basically, but with an
Yeah.
80 motor.
Yeah.
I had like a milk crate and everything I'd have to ride up to and put my foot down on because I was too short for the bike.
No, my buddy had a KX 100. That's what it was. So yeah, it was KX 100. But keep
Yeah, I
going. I'm
just
sorry.
remember that. No, it's just funny. Like being a kid and the 80 just being so big at that time. But then I remember other kids had newer 65s and 85s and everything, and they were small. They were made for kids.
Yeah.
But it's like, it was just funny because that thing was huge. I'm not shitting you. It wasn't even a milk crate. It was what was it? It was some form of crate that the dirt bike shop would sell for super cheap because they
Mm,
would just use them as dirt bike stands. But it was some kind of crate, and it was taller than a milk crate because I mean, my foot was fucking 2 feet from the ground. Like if I tried to stop on that bike, I had to like stop against a tree or something because I would just fall over if I
yeah.
did.
Oh yeah, and then those bikes are kind of top heavy too. Like
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool.
Dude, I miss it. Like, don't get me wrong. I want to get a motorcycle so bad. The only problem is in Texas, there's really no off-roading for me to do here.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of that land's taken.
Yeah. And then you got to get permission and shit. So it's like, I think if I were to get a bike, I would want it to be like I think I'd probably do like an XR 500, go find an old XR 500. Or maybe a KTM 5, like a Husky 525 or a KTM 500, somewhere in that range. And just go putz around on one of those.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I will we will see what happens. I do really like the new, like the brand new YZ 250F X that I was talking about, because they're so slim. Like the ergonomically, they're so different than like all the old bikes that like we all had. They're
Mm-hmm.
so slim, they're a little bit lower. Because I mean, that's one thing, like everyone buys these bikes, like a 426 or a 525 or something like that, and they first thing they fucking do is they take it in and have it lowered because they're too
Why? You just loosen the triple clamp and you slide it down a quarter inch. Takes like an inch off the
well,
whole
even
bite.
so, like Buddy, his 525, he's having that lowered 2 inches right now.
God damn. What are you, 4 feet
They're
tall?
huge. The fucking bikes are, it's even big on me. It's that super like European style. They want them super high. And like I've heard a bunch of like podcast guys talk about this, like MXGP riders. They like them super high, and then they think it's funny, like for the motocross of nations or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The Americans will go over to Europe, and all of like our bikes will be super low in the back and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes sense, like that being a KTM, it's from Austria, like.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's I just like ergonomics of the new bikes.
Yeah, they look good. I don't know. A lot of them just look really good. I went and sat on a YZ 250 the other day. I went to there's a bike shop down the road and I went and sat on it. I was like, man, I want one so bad. And the guy was trying to sell it to me. I'm like, bro, if I had the money, I would. Don't worry.
Fucking like 10 grand, man. It's not like
Yeah, this one is it was just a straight up YZ 250. I think it was a 2023. And it was 6,500.
yeah, I was gonna say probably I was gonna guess seven, but
Yeah, it was like 65.99 or 66.99 or something like that.
I think new, like if you look at them on Yamaha, they're $8,099 for a YZ 250. And that's where I'm having issues, is because the fucking YZF or the YZ 250 FX is nine. It's $9,099. It's $1,000 different, but you get so much more with the 4-stroke model.
I still can't believe they didn't put an electric start on the 2-stroke model.
If they did, I would probably already have one.
You'd be like, fuck, I don't need to pay off this side by side.
Fuck this side by side.
Like, I'm gonna sell this bitch.
Yeah, the bank take that back.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. We'll see. And I'm sorry I didn't mean to turn this into dirt bike cast, but I think this was a good preview of kind of how like we talk about stuff. Most of the time we talk about guns, but now I'm reminiscing on old times and Adam's got a new hobby. So
Well, we can talk about guns. Fuck PWS. They can eat a dick. And then
what did you reach back out to them again and they told you to fuck up?
I'll never fucking talk to them again. Fuck them.
Well, did you see the Aero Pro ambi lowers are hitting the site, so you don't even have to get the
Those cost way too fucking much and they look stupid anyways.
They do look stupid. I looked at one, I was like, bro, this looks kind of dumb. But it's an ambi lower and it's $239, and that's cheaper than most ambi lowers besides the Griffin.
The only thing I am interested in from PWS is that fucking rifle that they do.
Oh, the URX or whatever?
Yeah, the URX. I want one. I still want one really bad.
I still don't. It still looks ugly. It looks like the ARX 100 or 180 or whatever fucking Beretta did, and that thing is hideous.
It's hideous, but I just think it's super cool. I think it's cool because it's different. It's just something different.
No, man. Like, there's so much of that gun that I just don't like. Like, yeah, that's cool. Like, it does a lot of shit different, but at the same time, like, I don't get me wrong. I think it's a great, phenomenal rifle, but it just looks ugly. And I feel like next year they're going to come out with like a sleeker, slimmer, better looking model. And that's the one I'll probably end up liking, you know?
I want the OG.
Of course you do.
Give me the OG ugly one.
Your guy running around here on a YZ426.
Sucks that it's so good because even when I get a new bike, I plan on just keeping this one.
That's what I'm saying. Like your next thing you're going to tell me is you're like, I bought a Suzuki RM190.
R 230.
Dude,
Yeah,
you know what you should look at is those gas bikes.
That's another one. Gas, Beta, and there's another one. Starts with an S. It's like a weird European bike, but a
Seiko,
lot of enduro guys.
Seiko or something.
Yeah, Senko.
Yeah,
I think it's Senko or something like that. But it's another like one of the enduro style bikes.
there's so many good enduro bikes now, dude. I mean, yeah,
Beta.
KTM and Husky that are pretty much like the top of the line, but Gas makes a pretty good one, and they're a little.
Well, they're all under the same family now.
Yeah.
KTM, Husky, and Gas are all like the same company now.
Oh, really?
It's all the same like family of bikes.
Damn, that's crazy.
But the Betas look sick,
Ooh.
and they have a lot of two strokes.
What is it? Beta what?
BETA.
What is their the 300RR?
Sure.
Looks like identical to a fucking KTM.
Yeah, the 300RR like factory edition or something like that.
Oh man, dude, this thing looks straight up like a KTM.
I'm pretty sure that's
Looks
another
straight
Euro.
up like a KTM.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's another Euro brand, so it makes sense.
Yeah. The 300RR is the pinnacle of enduro class bikes. Beta's rich history of motorcycle development has resulted in a refined riding experience.
Tell me more.
There's a whole paragraph that I wasn't going to read. So, well, I think it's time for us to log off and get the hell out of here. And we'll talk about guns on our next one because we just reminisce too much about motorcycles. So,
A lot of people like dirt bikes.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't get any negative feedback, but this is YouTube, so we'll see. They'll probably be like, what the fuck? It started out as a cool gun podcast, and now fucking they're talking about dirt bikes.
They started out talking about red cows being sacrificed, and now they're talking about betas. They ain't fish either, playa.
Beta fish are stupid. Well, yeah, lead us out, Adam.
Go outside and have fun, I guess.
Exactly.
Do whatever you want. Tell people to fuck off.
Yeah, we're not just a gun podcast. We're an emotional feelings podcast. And our emotions come out with dirt bikes and K trucks. As always, everybody, be a hoodlum.